That's us before we got there. That's morning time before we got there. That's morning time before we got there. That's morning time before we got there. I just wanna be wherever you are, hard as I can be, it's never too hard.
Check. Welcome to Axe to Grind, episode 9. Sorry for the technical difficulties you might hear. It's a lot of editing. We're working through a new process here. I'm Patrick.
Bob.
Tom.
And our special guest.
Hey, I'm Chris.
Yes.
Wait, no, but what?
Well,
what's
no.
your last...
Let's talk about it. This is Chris Morgado, and he is also known as the character in Hardcore as Morgado. But we invited Chris to come to the podcast, and he might slip in and out of character. But let me just kind of point out that Chris has been in Hardcore for a long time. We've circled in the same circles for a long time, but this is the first time we're getting to sit down in a room for hours and talk about stuff. So I'm excited for that.
It's gonna get weird.
It's cool.
Today, well, firstly, Axe to Grind. Every episode is somebody's first, so let's do the bullshit.
This is number 9?
Number 9, as I understand it. Now,
9.
The idea here is you cannot be a member of a music community for any length of time without developing some personal biases informed by experiences that might not be that cool. So whenever we beef with something or just have an agenda that is outside of simply the music, we announce it ahead and we say we got an axe to grind. That's it. Other than that, it's just talking about hardcore and being straight up fucking nerds. Thank you for joining us as always. Today we're doing a special type of episode. It's a mailbox episode or mailbag episode. We are just taking some of the questions at the risk of sounding too grateful. We get a lot of emails and a lot of tweets now, and we appreciate every one of them. And we're going to try to validate some of you by hitting just a couple off the top. What do we got, Bob?
All right, so I think I'm going to start everything a little light today. Greetings from Mannheim, Germany. I'm the one known as Fritz, and I am a creator of fanzine here in Germany called Sick Truth Fanzine. I have write about your podcast in my new fanzine because when I was over in the USA for holiday, some locals showed me it, and I love it. So if you guys can't tell,
False. This is a faux. This is a faux euro.
But Fritz does start to tell us. I suggest to you check out the hot band here at this time. They are called Monkey Fellow, and they have just make release of a new 7-inch on Cone Records.
Make release.
It is to take the Euro hardcore world by force with their old school spirit and amazing song. This is my favorite hardcore release of this year's, and I tell them I will send it to you, and they are very excited. And they will all listen to your podcasts. So please check out the new 7-inch and maybe give a shout out to them on the podcast. So fake
European.
Fake.
Yeah.
I honestly kind of can't believe that fake European voice, even though that's an evil, but like fake European voice is still like a thing, like with the grammar, like because that's been a thing since I got into hardcore.
Yeah,
and that
It's
was like
done relatively well, though. I got to be honest.
This was like a big thing in the late 90s. Was Americans making fun of how Europeans were.
Like everything.
Oh,
We need more Tom Guest voice, please.
Tom Sheehan, Foley artist.
Yes.
It's, a lot of vegan,
It's vegan. Excuse me.
Oh yeah, you don't.
We make you vegan pasta.
Yeah.
Yes.
So listen, this
We shouldn't even be laughing that much. But
no, but this used to be a gag.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And up to you if you find it funny. I don't even know if that's racist in 2018 because I don't know the rules.
Xenophobic.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
They're
Yeah, I'm
whites.
pretty sure
I
it
don't know.
falls
I
under
think
xenophobic.
whatever. Listen, I've been there a trillion times. I consider the Europeans my weirdo brothers. I'll make fun of them all day as
Yeah.
they make fun of me. But
I love Europe, man.
I
Move me
fucking
there
love it.
tomorrow,
But
man.
to be able to scream
Oh, well, hold on. Wait.
affected-
But
oh.
we haven't talked about Monkey Fellow yet.
Monkey Fellow. We're talking about the email first.
Yeah.
Our friend
Oh,
Fritz
sorry.
from Mannheim.
Right, Fritz from Mannheim.
Shout
the
outs
fake
to
European.
Fritz.
So
Mannheim. That's like a
Mannheim
deep
hardcore.
cut. That's a
Yeah, I know.
Germany deep cut.
I want to shout out a couple of my buddies who interned at Rev. One from Stuttgart, one who was from Berlin, and the one from Berlin essentially spit every time he said Stuttgart because he thought it was so like it was the it was like a cow patty to him.
I'm not exaggerating. I've played Stuttgart as often as I've played Los Angeles. I've played it so fucking much. I feel like I live in Stuttgart.
Is Stuttgart Alter Stand Bahnhof?
I have
that
no
the
idea
venue?
what
Wow.
you just said.
It's like some venue
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's-
There is
it's
a
like
legendary spot.
It's like a community center. Does that sound right? It's like a community center.
It might be. The guy that used to like book tours.
All that
owned
I know
this
is
place.
it's walking distance to the red light. Let's talk. Let's.
Quick thing that I want to shout out to Germany was that both of these guys came to internships in the United States in this kind of funny, rinky-dink way to intern at Rev for a whole summer, aka live right on the beach in Huntington Beach at some weird hotel that the government paid for because they just finished university. So
So cool.
y'all, we need to catch up.
We got to get on
We
that
gotta catch
socialism
up.
shit.
I know.
We got to become
We are
socialists,
messing up.
man.
They got
Where's
sent
Bernie
over.
at? I need Bernie
and
to
we
come.
figure. I don't even remember how it all figured out, but like they were getting paid by the state to come and experience and do the whole internship.
I mean,
thing.
even
And
in
they
Europe-
literally lived on the beach in Huntington.
That's amazing. Like there was a label called Overcome Records in France. A friend of ours used to run, and literally he had a big office in downtown Paris for his record label because the government since it was part of the arts, the government would support it.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Like that's the equivalent of being like, I put out like the Detain record. You want to come to my my office in Soho?
Listen.
I'm not dissing Detain. I'm just saying like
Our
you're not
production
making
records.
enough to pay rent.
No,
In a
you
Soho
see, you see
office.
how I fucking live? Listen,
Like a homeless person.
like
I mean,
a home
yeah.
in a home, but yet homeless is probably
Like you don't know how to deal with, like you're doing well now and you don't know how to handle that.
I look like halfway house.
Does your girl listen to the podcast?
No, I'm trying to get her not to listen to the podcast because then the status of my halfway house room.
Okay,
would be,
well, if you do listen, get home quick.
Like I've called EMS on people for less than
There's a lot of peanut butter in here.
there's a.
and yerba mate.
So okay, back to the point. Yeah, they might have oppressive nanny states that treat them like children, but
They support the arts.
they support the arts. That's pretty cool.
Vacation.
And so Tom launched into actually talking about Monkey Fellow because we listened to it immediately before the podcast started, and we adore it. It is an old joke, but we are old men, so I'm not going to be mad at it. It's basically a guy doing a European voice, using the wrong tenses of words, pluralizing things that have no purpose, and advocating for vegetarianism, which... Pardon my laughter. That's the most quaint, funny ass fucking throwback idea in the world. Because, come on, homie, we've been vegan since fucking whenever. You know what I mean? Like that's just a funny thing. But Monkey Fellow worked for me. Better than Judge Judd. If that's the bottom
yeah.
line.
Well, I mean, if that's the
Judge
fucking
Judd's lowest of the low.
Judge Judd's
Thank you,
terrible.
Chris. People were trying to defend Judge Judd. Nick,
No.
come on,
Were they-
man.
are you
Oh my-
kidding?
no.
Yeah.
No.
No, they
trying
came at
to
us.
like give it like no, it's funny. No,
No,
it's not.
that was a
Monkey
dude
Fellow
making
is
fun
funny.
of people.
Yeah.
More
And
than
there's
any-
two
yes,
actually funny hardcore parody bands, and one is Straight Youth, and the other one is this Monkey Fellow thing that we just heard.
That Monkey
Wait,
Fellow's
what
What about
was
Hate Beak?
Gayrilla Biscuits. Do we remember?
Gayrilla Biscuits.
Never
Gayrilla
found it funny.
Biscuits. Fuck.
not too funny. I got what they were doing. You know,
I thought
it was
kind of
funny.
I thought it was kind of good.
It was clever.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of good. All
I
right.
did have a guy
It
sing.
was there.
I had a
It was
guy
maybe-
sing Grudge lyrics to me today, and that was wild. Wild.
Out of nowhere, it was a homeless person.
No, I mean he worked at a screen printing shop, so
Okay,
I mean
well,
he's familiar. He's in the
diff,
world.
Same diff. All right, so that's our first letter. We're a pro Monkey Fellow podcast. Is that
Listen to it once, because that's really all you're gonna need.
It's funny.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly.
Okay.
Not a
So
lot of
next,
not a lot of
thank you for
replay
the
value.
email.
Yes, thank you.
If vinyl still mattered to anybody, it would be one of those things that is you see in a distro a year from now for $1 and you buy it.
Although Harm Reduction could fuck with that and put out like a 50 run of it.
Oh,
and
Monkey
probably
Fellow.
make-
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what? Monkey Fellow would have to be harder, but I would do. I would
some,
do
like,
like a.
Oh, Monkey Fellow's post Monkey Fellow band where they go hard edge.
If they did like a what's the Liar Congress stuff?
8,000.
8,000 stuff.
If they did like a Hate Thousand fucking style band.
So guys behind funky fellow.
I'll put you out if you do a convincing liar.
Like kickback or some shit.
Right,
We're in on the joke, and Pat is willing to put some money behind it. So
But you have to move it to Belgium now. That's no longer German. It's Belgium.
Okay, so friend of the pod, Dave Ackerman, who's an old friend of mine, who is also a contributor on some vaguely like punk podcast. We're not familiar with it. Turned Out a Punk or something.
Turned Out a Punk.
We're not familiar.
Is this us casting? Because I can cast shade, but those
That
are
was
your
He's
homies.
my homie.
Those are your homies.
He's my homie, but
I'll-
we're competitive.
Oh,
We're-
okay,
we're
yeah.
competitive.
We are. We're running neck and neck.
So
but that's
Dave-
like us throwing shade back, like Pat got shade thrown at him.
Yeah, that's
Oh
right.
yeah, he shaded me. Well,
so we're axing we're grinding
cast the shade.
axes.
Watch my fingers; it's just shooting shade out of them.
Dave, thank you for being a cool friend and a supporter, and we think you like our podcast better than theirs.
Thank you for liking my scatterbrain joke too, by the way.
Hi guys, not to just be another dude pushing 40, but I like early shows. I spent a lot of the late 90s going to ABC No Rio. I think saying I saw over 100 matinees there wouldn't be an exaggeration.
Holy fuck!
They all fire? Nah, but I had fun. It also sometimes allowed you to hit 2 shows in one day. Dave sang in a few bands, Dead Nation, Tear It Up being
awesome.
Dead Nation, Def played a show there, and then I went to a show at Coney Island High right after that night. I have no problem with the 7 or 8 p.m. shows. What I do have a problem with is late shows. I live in Austin, Texas, and we regularly have shows that start closer to 10. I get up at 6 a.m. for work, so even on days off, I'm up at 7. It's really hard to be out until 2 on a work night. There's been multiple shows I wanted to see, but just couldn't rally for another couple hours after dinner to even leave my house to attend. Dave, you're my boy. Yo, that's just us getting old, man.
No, I
That's just
disagree.
being an old.
No, it's
I know that's
wild.
totally being an old.
I haven't wanted to attend a late show in my adult life, and I'm talking about from 20 on. I hate a late show.
I've played shows, and you can probably vibe on this with me. I was 21, 22 years old in Spain, and literally our set time would be 3 a.m.
Yep.
But that was normal. Like, it would be like
right.
doors at 11, first band at midnight. We were like loading out as the sun was coming up. But we're like, there's going to be fucking 7 people here. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and it would be fucking wild. So like it's.
I mean, that isn't there. There's kind of a history of that though. Like
even in New York,
yeah.
you see
so,
like it'll be like a 14 band bill. It's like doors at 10.
So I mean,
like if you hear about like A7 or whatever,
old
and they'd be
shows
like,
to
oh,
start
we
that.
walk out and it
2
was
o'clock in the
dawn.
morning,
and like,
right,
Yeah.
and so I not that old, but being I think I was 19 and worked at a hardcore adjacent screen printing shop, and me and Dave, emailer, went and saw DRI in New York. DRI didn't hit the stage till like 12:45 or 1. And this is 2001 DRI, not 1985. So they played an hour-ish set, and it was awesome. I knew my boss was going to be psyched and like, oh, how was the show? I was so fucking tired and done. But that's the kind of shit you do when you're young. If you are young, go to late shows. If you are old, let's stay home. Comfortable couch.
I mean, I'm a night owl. Like I don't regularly like even getting up for work at 7. I go to bed at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't help. I can't help it. I wouldn't be caught dead at a show that started at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, like
Well, I mean, this is part and parcel of us discussing a couple weeks back that 9 a.m. hardcore show
I go to bed at 2 a.m.
Up and
every
alert.
night,
in Binghamton.
but
We're with it.
I need that last hour and a half to just sort of wind down.
Decompression.
I'm not trying to fucking be stage diving at 1 a.m. That's insanity. But yeah, Italy, spots like that. I've played shows where it's like I looked at the lineup and was like, so what, 2 a.m. and they're like,
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Oh.
Are you fucking kidding
And
me?
people stay.
Yeah, but
It's so normal.
they
It's
hate
not.
themselves. That's crazy.
I mean, they get time during the day to go home and take a nap.
It's more of that socialism. I don't think they got to work.
Or in Spain, they're getting a siesta. You get an hour or two to take a
Dan,
nap.
you're right. I
I'm
like that
voting
siesta.
Bernie.
See, and here's the deal: Europe's got a few things figured out here. Siestas, fucking state-paid holidays. I'm
Universal
in.
healthcare.
I'm fucking in.
Yeah.
All right. Dave sent a follow-up episode. Email as well. One, Tear It Up played with Come In Correct 2 weekends in a row.
Sick.
He
That-
pronounced it tear, like year it up. Tear
it up.
He did have a bonkers distro and was everywhere. 2, good, clean fun. I dug the 7 inches and was on board with the joke.
Yo, good for him being honest about
Right.
that.
First time I saw them live, Floor Punch DCNJ weekend, I believe, and saw they were serious about it. I was kind of soured.
Yeah,
they were
sure.
huge and became total poser shit. Tom, I LOL did the scatterbrain joke.
He nailed good, clean fun.
Yeah,
'Cause I'll
right.
cop to the first 2 7 inches.
Correct.
right.
And like, yo, literally, Chris, we're in the same general age range and a lot of same people. fucking everyone was in. It was like, oh, first 2 7 is cool, and then the joke fucking turned so quick. All right, and last comment: Champion played them with them in 2002. Tear It Up, Down in Flames, What Happens Next, Life's Halt, Champion. Quick pause. Champion really was the fucking sore thumb on that show. They did not fit that one. They wore suits. When asked why, the quote was, "We just figured you guys would be dirty, so we thought it was funny."
Yo,
that rubbed me the wrong way.
Which would
we were on tour, not homeless.
Which that is fair that it would rub them the wrong way, but I thought that was funny.
yeah, you know what?
We thought you guys would be dirty.
I
So
think
we
about
wore
this
suits.
sometimes.
That's a great rib.
I think about this sometimes, like the affronts, the like insults that you internalize as a kid that would roll off your back so quick as an adult, like all sorts of shit that I held grievances for like fucking years over some dumb shit, and then like as an adult I've said worse. You know what I mean? I've just casually said worse shit to somebody, so I wonder what kid is fucking holding a grudge against me. I guarantee there's somebody, but I think about that often as I get older.
Okay, so
What do we
Dave,
got?
thank you. That was good.
Thanks, Dave.
Let's go. Austin, who I can't. Austin
Hard last name?
Johanning Meyer, who is not from Germany but is. I'm from Texas. Love the podcast, so I figured I'd plug what we got going on if it ever comes up.
Monkey fellow.
No. A few bands have played fest that get brought up here and there and have released music in last year. From Dallas-Fort Worth area. Kept in Line. Recently played LDB Fest. Sounds kind of like Mongrel era Think I Care. KeptInLine.bandcamp. Creeping Death. Stupid Heavy with death metal influences. Also played LDB. They're up there on there. Scourge. Sounds like Confusion and Cold as Life.
Confusion.
Okay,
As
yeah.
a Brooklyn dude, that hits my heart.
They have a 7-inch coming out on Mind Rot Records this year. Dress Code. Playing the Turnstile record release. Those bands are both from Houston and are playing Damage City. So I brought this one up. Thank you, Austin. Big shout outs to Texas. Texas hardcore. Something, in the 90s? Not much. Not much.
2000s on, though.
2000s on. Far From Breaking.
Iron Age.
Far From Breaking beget Iron Age, and there was a couple other bands
Bitter End.
in Houston, and Far From Breaking wasn't very good, but those dudes went on to do fucking the almighty Iron Age. Bitter End. There's some younger bands, Judiciary, fucking Power Trip.
Die Young.
Die Young was a big thing from Houston.
I would love to talk about Die Young. It's
Please do.
so weird to me. Like, I'm a guy who has a real passion for what I do, and I do it no matter who's listening at any given year. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Die Young continues at a clip where I'm not certain anybody cares. And
They're still a band.
they've released a single a month ago.
But they were gone for a while.
They were gone for a few years, but like,
Yes.
but here's the deal: like, I don't think Die Young has gotten even an ounce better since they started, and that's my personal feeling on it. Maybe you disagree at home, but here's the thing that's undeniable: when you are committed to the thing that you do, despite the fact that you are screaming into a void,
But do we know that for sure?
I don't think a living person fucking cares.
Not even
I don't
like
buy
in
it.
Texas, though.
Maybe in Texas.
So Die Young had a minute because they were on that we tour and grind really fucking
Exactly,
hard.
yeah.
But I think that minute was well over a decade ago.
Yes.
Like closing in on 15 years ago, and 2004, I want to say, and nowhere on the Eastern Seaboard did they really crack. But they had a minute in the Midwest, minute out California, I believe, and it just not for me. But I do give them respect for doing their shit. And there's just not a lot of bands, especially in that lane of hardcore, from Houston at all.
Like, I know it sounds like I'm hating, and technically I am, but at the same time, it's a compliment. Like, really, to continue in the face of crickets, not easy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know well enough to determine that's the case.
Okay, hold on. Did you just hear that diplomatic, political answer out of both these fools?
Well, I
don't know. I mean,
I don't know if you heard. I haven't probably never heard them in my life, so I've really got nothing to.
But when I say it's quiet for Die Young, and you guys go, I don't really know. Have you ever heard anybody talk
No.
about Die Young?
No, but also I'm not in Texas, so for all I know, they've got like a
Okay,
really
all
devoted
right,
like
all right. If
scene
that's what you
following
mean,
in,
yeah, okay, that's
in
fine.
Texas.
That's
Right,
fine.
or
But
like
as far as like across like the country or whatever,
On a national
or in
level.
Europe
I got
or
nothing
whoever
on
else.
here.
Yeah, we don't
I
know.
would think it's nothing on a national level.
But so anyway, shout out to those dudes.
And
even
shout
though
out to Texas Hardcore. There was another band, guys from San Antonio. There's a bunch. There's actually some younger guys. This band Bloodhound, a band who was around about 10 years ago, Lion Wait, who are from San Antonio, who toured out and they worked hard. But
Eternal Champion's awesome.
Eternal Champion, not hardcore,
No,
but just
but-
fucking awesome.
Are they from
Awesome.
Texas?
A singer of Iron Age.
Yep.
Oh,
That's him?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's him.
Oh, I just listened to that.
Insane.
DFJ's in that, correct?
No,
He's in
DFJ is in
Summerlands.
Summerlands.
Yeah.
Summerland. Okay.
Skase was in Eternal Champion, but I think he's like on a
Hiatus?
show by show type basis. Like I think it's where when they need him type thing.
Got it.
But that's that record, Armor of Ire, huge
Fantastic.
recommendation. And I don't think Cat out of the bag, but I think we're gonna hear some new Iron Age.
Oh, is that real?
Maybe.
Will it? Okay. Now these are your homies, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit friendly.
Yeah. All right. You know.
Yes, friends. We're friends.
You know.
I love those.
All right. How quiet will it be, or will people care?
People care.
You think people are going to care?
Absolutely.
Let's do a prediction.
Hold on. Chris is quiet.
I think record collectors will care. I don't know if the average hardcore kid will care. And I like Iron Age. My only thing with Iron Age has always been I never thought the recordings matched the potential of the band. Except until like, what was the last record?
Sleeping
Eye.
Yeah.
That's the first record they did. Where
I
like,
really
they got the production down right.
I'm curious what the direction will be if this new stuff comes to fruition, because at the end they did these Saga demos that were really on some different shit, metally, and Jason's vocals were really cool, like in this very different way, going way more metal.
Like different than the way they
Different
moved on to
than-
Eternal
different-
Champion, like entirely different than that, or
Entirely
more
different
like
than
the
that.
step between Iron
No,
Age and that.
like on a different direction.
Interesting.
Like, and if you find them and listen to it, please listen to those songs. They're available online somewhere.
I
Like
think it's a
really
good time for-
evil, kind of raspy,
Yeah.
and whereas Eternal Champion is
Is-
power
is
metal.
very power metal.
I think this is a good time for them to come back.
So
do?
yeah,
Yeah.
I see.
I
feel
think they
like-
don't. I think, and we actually, a friend of the podcast got at me and said that you're crazy for thinking Cold World and War Hungry aren't going to be big draws at Sound and Fury. And I paused them and I was like, I think it's scale. Cold World at one point were fucking so big it's hard to explain. Like they were really big.
I mean, they were the
World
biggest
just
band at any
played,
fest.
like in Brooklyn, and it was packed to the gills.
Right.
I
But
think
they-
Cold World. I don't.
And I
agree
said
for
the
5
same
seconds.
thing.
War Hungry. I can see where you're coming from on that, and that is a coin flip.
Do you think they're like a band's band, and like when they actually come out, it's kind of like cool,
I think there were a band's band
They're
5
definitely a
years
band's
ago.
band.
right? But
And
I think
they're-
Cole, yeah.
And they posted some shit on Facebook saying that they have some plans for new material too, War Hungry. But I think they're a band who you like heavier stuff. If you like Twitching Tongues, that does not mean you will like War Hungry. But I would say it means you should at least check it out. There's some heaviness, there's some dirginess, there's some dirty riffs on that thing. And so I'd say this about War Hungry is that it's sort of like, yeah, they're going to do well because Sound and Fury is not going to do them dirty and be like, oh, you're second from the top, guys. They're going to play later in the day, midday, and people are going to be psyched. But they're not. It's not going to be.
I don't think it'll
Crazy.
be like a. People will be psyched. I think people will be psyched to see them. I don't think people will be psyched in a we must double clothesline everybody.
Everyone's moshing, everyone's
type
singing,
thing,
kind of
which
thing.
which is a real thing that happened one time to play Sound and Fury. Craig Mack definitely double clotheslined
Yes,
somebody.
it did. And that set was crazy. And
That set was
now-
crazy, but I don't
now-
think it'll be that now.
Now, one of the reasons that we're going to be flying out to Sound and Fury is that War Hungry's playing. So, but no.
But I mean, I don't
same
think-
deal with Iron Age is that I think they're a bigger version of that War Hungry thing. And what Pat said, in a way, last time we really talked on Iron Age, where you said poser magnet, and I think that term threw people for a loop. It did me. But what you meant really was that boy, a lot of people talk about this, but then you see it and it's like, oh, the active participants aren't there. And it seems like this is just a band people like to say they like more so than actually like. And I fucking love them. And I think that they have an opportunity to gain fans.
I think the right word is that people appreciate them.
Yeah.
But they don't go off.
Sure.
Yeah, you know what? So last episode, I was the villain. I'm gonna play the villain again. You know what I mean?
That's your role. You pitched
comic book dork.
Come on, black hat.
I'm the heel. I'm the heel because like I just killed poor Die Young, who haven't done anybody wrong, and fucking
terrible. That's so mean.
Yeah, fucking Iron Age. I'm shitting on them, but like, okay. So my feeling is that on festivals, increasingly, the small reunion, and I know that War Hungry is technically not, right? Like, they never really broke up, is that right?
Yeah, no, there was no like War Hungry last show kind of shit.
My feeling is that sort of thing is becoming less and less worth whatever. Sorry, this sounds fucking rude as hell. It's increasingly not worth the cost to the festivals. What I saw at the festivals that I've been to the last 2 years, people care about what's going on right now.
Yes.
Like, and there's not a lot going on in my opinion. I'm the bitter little dude that's like, yo, there's not a ton popping for me. But what is happening is what people care about. And I think the soft reunions, you haven't played in forevers, I don't think that has the grip that it had 6 years ago, 10 years ago. I think that it's just not the thing. I think it's like, I hope War Hungry has an awesome set. You know what I mean? I really do.
Right.
I just, like, I would be kind of surprised based on who I saw at Sound and Fury last year if Cold World was lit. I would be surprised. And that doesn't mean I wish it. No, I want. Listen, even the bands I shit on this fucking podcast, I want them to go out and have a good time, and for people to enjoy themselves, and everybody to win, except for when I don't. But honestly, like, just speaking frank, I don't know if the soft reunion matters to kids who are in the streaming era and just want what's popping right now.
I would be shocked for Cold World not to get a big reaction. I feel like those dudes have like it still comes off. Those songs are still fucking great. They're still singing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they still have grasp. And I think for Iron Age, I think it's a good time for them to come back just because there's space for bands like that now. Like, when they were doing that sort of kind of like you were saying, like Poser, like whatever.
They were doing it with like Mental,
right?
And they were, but now
they did it with Mental. They did it with Rise and Fall. Things that didn't, they didn't.
Right, but now there's like the Nails of the world and all, all Pigs, all these bands that could sell out places.
100%. If you put Power Trip and Iron Age together,
that's added. Honestly, that's which will probably happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I fucking hope.
So.
Like Riley coming on soon.
So in that case, Iron Age is just added value. Nobody's coming for them, but anybody that sees them at a Power Trip show is going to fucking trip out because Iron Age is good. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they're going to enjoy
and that's what I mean. I think like it's a way more welcoming time right now for a band like that than it might have been 5 years ago.
That's a good point.
Quite honestly.
And what, just so we're clear, Iron Age, the records I like, the records I don't like, are actually always shooting for a thing and trying to do a different thing per record. And I'm excited for whatever's going to come out. I just think that, like, when I was shitting on him in whatever capacity I was, it was just basically like, can I see a 23-year-old pretending to care about this? And I was having a hard time.
I think you do, because I think nowadays that sort of like crossover metallic stuff, fucking Exhorder. Kids that are fucking 25 freaking out that they're going to see fucking Slaughter at the Vatican or whatever the fuck. Who the fuck liked Exhorder before? Like, that's an old man band.
I know.
But
an old man band
everyone
for our
is
generation.
all up on like, everyone loves fucking SOD. Who loves Anthrax? Who loves this? I feel like it's more.
I mean, people loved Anthrax back.
But I'm saying, like, young
but
kids.
the next step over.
No, listen,
everyone had a fucking obituary fucking camel hat.
No, when we were 18, it wasn't. We didn't talk to dudes like an obituary. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
I'm saying but like.
This dude did like
early
3 obituary
2000s,
covers
like,
at a show.
The A-Team dudes and like Dookie, like Anthrax was
Anthrax
our
got
shit.
caught. Yep.
That was our shit. Like
you know what
A-Team
I'm
would
saying,
cover
though,
Anthrax, and I like.
But now it's
the
like,
place
yo,
would go
I
nuts.
love
But now
fucking
it's-
violence.
now it's like-
But the thing too is like we've covered Obituary, fucking crickets.
Yeah.
Like, and that was like,
Well, no, Redneck Stomp went over.
recently. Redneck, but like nobody knew like the actual song.
Threatening
So
Scott.
that's,
Yeah,
like,
but who's gonna sing along to it?
Literally, kids that are in Obituary shirts like
Don't know it.
crickets didn't realize what we were doing. So it's kind of like, there is something to what Pat was saying about. They might not.
But I mean, I think
Pretending
hardcore
to
kids.
like, they like to
pretend to
say
like
they
it.
like it.
Yeah, you like to
But
like
that
it.
happens
And-
with everything, and that's
It
for
happens
sure.
with everything.
But that's
I'm not mad at you, 20-year-old, who would like to like something more
mean,
than you actually like.
People act like they like Super Touch.
Yeah, yo,
like
we
Super
can
Touch.
talk
I
about
do
that
like Super Touch.
forever.
That I blame mental for that.
Yo,
Nobody
That
liked
can be
fucking.
blamed.
No,
Yeah.
that's on locking out. Yeah,
straight up,
and I liked them before that, but it was.
I want to like Super Touch. I listen to The Earth Is Flat every year, and being like, maybe it'll click this year.
Nope.
No.
Searching for the
quick
Light.
thing.
Great song.
That is
Everything.
weird. That is weird. That I might say to you. You should listen to their live on WNYU because you might catch the energy. It's a live on the radio recording. Has some of the songs from that, but not a lot. But a lot of their older stuff that I actually go, oh, for that late '80s time period, you might like it. It's groovy, but in a weird way, and it catches their energy in a way. The Supertouch LP to me, because I got that young and kind of got. This is in my first 20 records, so I listened to it a fucking lot. At first, as a traditionalist style thing, I was like, wow, this is a weird hardcore record. To me, it sounded like Trains. Like, it's just a really weird listen.
So we opened for them at like a Triple B thing, I think.
Yeah.
And they were... The dudes that I talked to in that band were like they'd never heard of us, obviously, and they were really like appreciative and thought what we were doing is cool. So again, I was like, I gotta learn to like this shit, and I tried again, and it's still. I actually like their record on maybe Reaper.
Yeah.
I actually like that more than the classic material.
Well, the classic material is hard because the LP is a classic, but kind of not, because it came out on the late side for the band, 91, 90, 91, 92.
91.
And what you guys said about mental / locking out is 100% true. I worked at Revelation. They still had plenty of copies of the first press of that record available, and then this little band named Mental and Locking Out start, and all of a sudden we're selling. What's the deal with us selling these Super Touch records all of a sudden?
Yep.
And so that's kind of the power of influence that could happen.
Right.
That
So
live
Riley-
on NYU was the peak of their powers.
Okay.
So check it
All right,
out.
I'll
Riley
revisit
Power
that.
Trip drops fucking Iron Age in an interview, and it's all over.
Okay.
Right.
That's what I think.
Iron
You
Age
know what I
back
mean?
on the map. Yep.
You know.
Texas hardcore, really cool, and there's lots of little things. And just on a different tip, people from Texas will drive 20 plus hours to go to a show.
Yo,
Yes.
I was just gonna say, Texas and Florida have some of the best support for their bands.
Yes.
Of
Oh,
any scene.
they'll show
I
out. for
just
people.
watched that Day by Day America's Hardcore
Yes.
video. Or I think it was you guys
Yeah.
talked about
Yep.
it. It was like
Yep.
all the kids from Florida, and that was insane.
Of course, it was
That
us that talks about it. We're the only fucking hardcore podcast
But
that talks
yo,
about
here's
current
the
shit.
Look, I'm on Twitter sometimes.
But here's the other thing, and Chris can attest to this. Getting that reaction, particularly because you had all your friends go, especially in Boston, which is notoriously
Boston's
hard
tough.
for bands from out of town
Yeah.
to get a good reaction.
it's hard for bands just from the suburbs of Massachusetts.
Yes.
Right.
So that was big ups. All right. Next one, and this is kind of a little broader. Davis Collins from Rhode Island wrote, recently stumbled. Thank you. All the nice stuff. I have a question that maybe you can touch upon. Is it a good idea for newer bands to play shows before releasing any music? It might be good practice, especially for younger bands, to gain experience playing shows and perfecting their songs in a live setting before recording them. But is it smart to get yourself out there even though you don't have any recordings out? There have been instances for me where I've seen a new band, tried checking them out afterwards, and then realizing they don't have any music out, and then I end up forgetting about the new band. Also, are there specific steps a new band should take to get noticed? Interested in what you have to say. Great question. Let me break this up. The first question. Good idea to play before you release music, or to release music before you play?
Great idea.
I honestly,
I honestly think you should
Release first.
because no, you should play first. You should play first because you know what? If you just be like, hey, we've got a tape, I'm gonna be like, all right, that's cool. If I don't know like I don't have a reason to care. It's just a tape somebody handed me. If I see your band playing, I'm like, this was cool, and you're like, oh, we're gonna have a tape soon. I'm gonna be like, all right.
Right, but I mean, I think
I'll file that
simultaneously
away.
makes sense. Like, I think like if you should have a record, like.
So you're saying record
Right,
first,
like we
and
were
then
talking.
play.
I don't know if it was we were talking about this or whatever, but it'd be like, oh no, my friend Whitey, my buddy Kevin White, was saying like he's been in bands like that they've literally practiced for a year
That's insane.
before they bought a public.
That's insane.
But so that's the like a weird thing.
To me, that's like you have like a project, and it's like we're gonna do this, we're gonna have it ready, and we're just gonna drop it like a fucking bomb and surprise the shit out of everybody. But that's the type of thing I think you can only get away with if you're kind of you've got like some brand name dudes involved, and people people are interested in what you're gonna do.
Right, and I think it makes sense. So like what you're saying is like if you go out there, you kill it live, and then it gives you time to kind of get your chops up to snuff. That you record something that is kind of represents what you can do live, and not kind of have like how many times you see a hardcore band, you go, dude, that was sick. Let me listen to that record. And you're like, what the fuck did I just listen to?
Here's my take. Doesn't really matter because both are going to suck right out the gate, and
It depends.
You know,
Can.
I think that if you record before you are comfortable with each other, there's not a great chance of it being great.
Sure.
I think that if you are, depends on what kind of band you are. One of my bands is all about the kind of process and expressing ourselves, and the other one, we'd like people to have a good time, right? If you want people to have a good time and you are actually attuned to what's going on, playing those songs live is going to tell you what works and what doesn't. And there's something to that. Like, so if you play out 10 times and you are scanning the crowd to see what is actually resonating with people, like, listen, I say this on this podcast often. We listen to bands with 30-second songs that I think have parts that are too short or too motherfucking long. You know what I mean?
30 seconds.
So what I'm saying is that like it might benefit you to play it live. Yeah, it's a different type of practice, gives you experience, but also like you can visually identify what in your songs
Clicks and what doesn't.
and doesn't.
Sure.
And that might, unless you are just like, hey, I've got a vision and I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, which is cool. But if you want people to like what you're doing on any level, it might be worth it to be like, okay, I'm going to, what seems to work? Oh, that part went on way too fucking long. Because that's the thing that like...
Right, you don't
And
realize
you can
until
feel
play
that
it
when
live.
you're
Yeah.
playing live too.
Right.
And there's a happy medium too, where it's like you can always just record your freaking band practice and give it to a couple people and see how it plays.
Right, and I think
Especially
it also
now,
differs
easier than ever. Record
Yeah.
it on your laptop, send those files over to your friends.
Right, and it also differs. Like if you're like a young kid starting out, and it's like your first band, as compared to like, you know, if Morgado started a fucking band tomorrow, he could have his first show and his demo kind of come out simultaneously, and it'd be fine.
And I say that too, and I think it's just one of those things over time. I lean towards, and I think right now the consensus lean is let's record our demo and get it up on Bandcamp, and then people will be hyped up at our
Yes.
first show.
Yeah.
And I disagree. I
which is
see why
crazy.
you do
It's
that.
crazy to me.
No, I
You
agree.
you let your friends hear your practice or whatever, and let your friends go nuts at your first show.
and you build it up that way, and you kind of gain this energy, and you do everything we identify. You start to suss out what are our good songs, what are these ones. You might have a song that you think is pretty good, and you drop it before you even go record. She's like, you know what? We've been playing that. That just doesn't. We just don't like the way it
You
feels.
can tell when a part drags. You can
Right,
do,
and yeah, all that shit. And the point about, you're totally right. New kids, I kind of love that because you're workshopping in a live setting. Think about this. A good example is No Justice. They existed as a band without a live recording for 90% of their career.
They could have gone their entire career without recording anything, and they'd
matter.
still be
And it didn't
No
matter.
Justice,
And
the
they-
legendary band.
I'll straight up say I didn't know they have a record.
They have a record, and it's completely forgettable. There's people who vouch for it, and I appreciate you. It's cool that you like it. Those are not the same songs they were playing live. They were playing live with songs that I saw No Justice 12 or 13 times.
Fuck.
Yes. And,
Wow.
Damn.
And they were awesome. And the songs he sings on the record are absolutely not the songs he was singing live. And you can watch the videos and you can tell that. And sometimes he'd sing different because he was just going fucking crazy. And it was also, he had been in a band with a record before, and he was known.
Blade
Timmy.
Crasher.
Blade
Yeah.
Crasher. He was Timmy VB or Timmy Blade Crasher before that. He became Timmy No Justice. and it almost had more hype. You had to go see them.
Yep.
Do they have a demo? Nope.
Well,
Do they have shirts? Yeah, a couple sometimes.
Right.
But they have the craziest fucking
And
front man
that-
you'll ever see.
They're gonna play 2 songs because you're gonna destroy the drums.
That's what you want to. That's
And
what
so
you're going to see.
go
Right.
go hard as fuck. Don't worry about it. You want to be tight, cool, totally fine. I've known bands who went the other way and were like, no, I wanna perform live. A band, Knife Fight, was like this, and like props to them. I actually thought they were a really good band, but live they didn't have that same energy because they'd play, and the singer was really concerned. He wanted to sound so tight and right on the record that it lost the energy that it should have had.
So that's a weird vibe for a hardcore band.
So anyway, so Davis, that's that answer.
Very good question.
Do you guys have, and I'll pull back, I could give you some answers, but I'll let the band dudes do the talking here. Ideas, hints for success, cheat codes for new bands just starting out. One each. Let's do one each.
Bring your friends to the shows and force them to fucking lose their minds, and people will want to be part of it.
That was mine.
Yeah, that was the cheat code.
That's
like
the.
I said that
aim
like
of
2 weeks ago. so
yeah,
like-
I mean, but part and parcel to that is also you do a trash talk where you make sure everybody sees that live performance via a video. You know what I mean? Like you make sure that like somebody in that room
Has a video
Has
camera.
it, yeah.
And you talk yourself up. You do whatever the current version of Harley going around and writing cro-mags on walls is. I don't know what that would be.
yeah,
I don't know if
get,
it's
go,
like cryptic
get your
tweets
stickers
or like-
everywhere. Yeah, right.
Start a
tag
Twitter.
your shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shit, just write it on the wall anyway. Fuck it.
Sure.
Absolutely. All right.
That's
great,
cooler.
great question.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Our buddy Jamie Davis, who I believe is from Virginia, opinions on Richmond hardcore, old and new.
You know what? I'm going to sound hella old when I say I don't know what's going on there right now. I assume something, but I'm not plugged into that at the moment.
Breakaway, Candy.
Oh,
I didn't realize Candy was from Richmond.
Yeah.
Candy is
Me
from
neither.
Richmond. Yeah.
For some reason, I thought they were a shore band.
The drummer
were
is
a
from the
Buffalo
shore.
band.
Drummer's from the shore.
okay.
Couple dudes from Western New York are in the band, and couple dudes from Richmond. Main songwriter, our boy Cheddar, is from Richmond, so we're gonna give them Richmond status.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Right, so there's Breakaway's dope.
And Zach, actually, the singer, I believe, is from Buffalo and lives in L.A. now.
Down to Nothing, obviously.
Down to
Down to
Nothing.
Nothing,
Like,
still doing it.
Was
Race
it safe
more.
to say that that's like the Richmond band?
Yes, they
Veil.
are.
Yo, wait.
Well, I
what-
mean now, not
what-
like.
Oh, right now, yeah, of course.
What show did Down to Nothing play? Oh, New York. They played New York, yeah?
Yeah, they played the No
Yes.
Warning. Yeah.
Yo, I was straight up shocked at the response that they got.
They're so
They
big.
never get a
Straight
bad response.
Up shocked.
Well, so they are a band who they took a moment in the mid 2000s. They were a band who in the South they were drawing 300 people
Yeah.
in 2003, 4, 5. When they were playing in the Northeast, they were drawing like 25, 30, 40 kids. They caught on so hard in New Jersey.
I was going to say the shore.
The Shore
And Long Island.
and Long
Yeah, Long
Island,
Island.
and that is now they will not get a bad reaction, and they still go so fucking hard live.
They do.
And they're
And
fun.
they deserve
and-
to not get a bad
Yeah,
reaction.
I mean,
ever.
the singer
Work
is a
really hard.
fucking great front man. They're tight as fuck, even when they don't play that often.
You know what?
And it's
Band
just a
goes
good
off.
time, man. It's like a vibe.
It is a really good time.
Yeah.
I was super impressed because I hadn't seen them in a decade. You know what
Right,
I mean?
sure.
But I was honestly like, we talked about Champion a couple
We bring
episodes
these
ago.
motherfuckers up way too much.
No, we talked about Champion a couple episodes and how kind of it might seem quaint to a kid now. Like if a kid put on Champion now, it might seem antiseptic or,
Yeah. Oh,
or
this is
quaint.
a nice seltzer water. I prefer Mountain Dew.
Exactly. And
So you're saying Down to Nothing is Mountain Dew?
no, I think Down
That's
to
it. That,
There's super energy. I mean,
no,
it's-
but I was concerned that Down to Nothing through a 2018 lens would be seltzer water.
And what I will say is the biggest compliment I can pay to them is that I think Turnstile's energy and their
entire
vibe
is Down
is
to Nothing.
definitely if at the least inspired by DTN. And when I
Absolutely.
first heard Turnstile, I was like, oh, these guys kind of take Cold World, Trapped Under Ice, and Down to Nothing, throw that in a blender, and kind of get that energy. And that live setting, all those dudes in Down to Nothing go off.
No, listen,
Yes.
they're fucking sick. I'm not saying a fucking
But
thing.
you thought they were going to be down,
I-
not hit in 2018.
I just couldn't. Like,
if anything, I think they're somehow more relevant as a band in 2018.
I mean,
They
I
play
think
less often. They
yeah, I
kind
think
of-
I think it waned. For
They've
a
done
minute.
it well. They've done it
I think
well.
it waned for a minute, and now what I saw definitely back. But I don't know, man. Like it's like like when we talk about bands like Turnstile, we talk like you just named 4 bands or 3 bands that they incorporate into a sound. Down to Nothing is a pretty fucking straightforward version of what they do.
Yes.
And I just don't know if that's what kids are into.
It's because of the energy they do it with.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the feeling.
You're
You know
drawn
what I mean?
to it.
We're talking
no matter
about
what.
it. We talk about the feeling a lot. It's that sublime. When you go see them, you're never gonna get like, Down to Nothing. They were okay. They were,
No, made me
Yeah,
want
like
to
now
stage,
it's
made me
like-
want to stage dive. I don't even know their fucking songs.
right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So
I was having
Richmond
a great
hardcore,
time.
old and new. Old. Why don't you guys wax on Avail for a minute?
I mean, I think they're one of the most like important punk bands ever.
That's strong, but I would say that every kid deserves to have a Leatherface and a Veil period of their punk evolution.
Right, having been around for them at the time, you'll never see another band like them that got that crazy cross section of people at their shows.
Oh, that's
They'd be straight
that was
edge-
crossover for sure. Yeah.
Incredible.
Absolutely.
Like,
When I got into stuff, and I definitely more straights, but Avail was one of again a first 20 record for me. And I really like it, and they appealed to me. And like the Avail Leatherface, that's a phase that I associate with the dude who's like, oh, hardcore is like too much for me.
I don't know if Avail's like that. Leatherface
Leatherface,
is
totally.
like
The
that.
Avail,
Yeah.
Leatherface, and Leatherface. But Avail is a band, and if you want to make the corollary to DTN, they had that energy, and their shows just popped. Didn't matter if they were playing fucking a small room or playing a big show, they exploded with energy right away.
Honestly, it's like I'm trying to think of what a comparison would be, because it's a band that could play any Fat Records show, but also play a hardcore show and get the same.
Not far from fucking Turnstile.
No,
You
that's
know
a
what?
very good
That's
point.
In reality.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's actually a good.
Because
That's
Turnstile
really
has a
interesting
wonderful,
point.
like, kind of cross section of people, and I think Avail does too. I mean, I've seen Avail with fucking Snapcase, and I've seen, we play with Avail with like fucking 400 Years, or
Yo,
play-
and
I've seen them at like ABC and
they
Rio,
ex-
and I've seen them play Irving Plaza. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they can
And
do
they
everything.
have that appeal that crosses over. Like, it was funny because a friend of mine sent me something where Mikey Erg from the Ergs was big upping the new Turnstile record. He's like, oh, that's cool, and I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I mean, they're on the cover of Spin magazine, right? So it's like a big
Like
deal.
he's not
like,
really that like fucking
no, but
in
he's
touch.
like, oh no, but that's what he was saying. He's like, no, it's like they're getting the big up from Spin and the fucking New York Times, but also this dude who's on this punk shit, like pop punk weird little world.
New Brunswick basement.
Right, but that band's big.
Erks?
Yes.
No, listen. I know. Is this still a band?
They're
I mean,
they're big.
they came back and they played with the Descendants and like help sell
Sell out
They sold out Starland Ballroom.
No,
with the
listen.
Descendants.
I know.
But
that-
anyways, but he in a totally different world was getting at, and that was Avail. They totally broke through a lot of different
everything.
walls of that
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
Weren't afraid, and in that way, and I always like the way Pat, and you should talk about this sometimes. You get on the stage and you're competitive as fuck, and you were like, I am going to kill motherfuckers.
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
want
gonna
to kill
think about it.
every band that we play with.
I feel like Avail took that energy and they didn't care. Oh, we're playing with Earth Crisis and Ignite. Oh, cool. We're playing with Less Than Jake. Oh, cool. We're gonna fucking steal this show.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a guy strictly his entire job was to do that.
Bobo.
Right, the dancer. So to kids that aren't familiar,
Chris is being quiet through this whole thing.
Yeah, I respect the Veil. Never did a goddamn thing for me.
it's
You know what? Listen to him as a 39-year-old man.
I never got into
dude.
Avail. I never had an Avail period. I never saw Avail. My Richmond music knowledge is like Bar Fight,
Okay. Yep.
804,
Yep,
and then
804.
Down to Nothing on.
Cast aside.
Cast aside.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Cast aside.
thinking.
Yeah, I figured
Fuck.
you wanted to go to Cast aside.
I totally forgot. Hard band.
I'm sorry, Richmond. I know Avail's like your band.
I want to
Dude,
throw.
4 a.m. Friday.
but I never.
Let me throw
I'm a
one
Dixie
really
guy through and through.
one really old one, and then we'll talk a few more new ones. Four Walls Falling is an older band.
Whoa!
And I know me and Pat have talked on it. I
Down
actually.
with it.
You are. So there's another one
Yeah.
for our list where all three of us like. There's a lot of them.
Yo,
Four Walls Falling doesn't get love.
culture.
DTN.
Shock.
Yo, I think we actually listened to that at our apartment. So
good.
Four Walls Falling. DTN covers them on one of those Rev singles and showed a little love. That band's awesome. Those dudes still kind of into hardcore, whether that matters or not doesn't matter. But that's a record that totally nobody talks about. It was never that big of a thing, but they were a band who were around, and that was in a time we talked about. Richmond became a place that people migrate.
Was that a Richmond band?
Yeah.
Okay, because
Richmond,
I
straight
knew the
up
name,
Richmond
but I
band.
didn't know they were like a Richmond.
You know,
band at all.
the record, they did a record on Action Pact that became Jade Tree, and then the LP was on Jade Tree.
But back then, Richmond was weird.
Richmond,
It
and
wasn't
this
like
is
a
90,
hardcore.
91, right? It was nothing.
It was like sort of like weird, crusty kind of like when
if you
Avail
wanted
was the
hardcore,
band.
you went to Baltimore.
Right. There were no down to nothings in the early mid to night.
No.
We would literally go play and it'd be it's
That's
fucking
probably
S
why
Factor
my
4 or whatever.
knowledge doesn't
Well,
really
and
kick
now
in from
I
that
did
at all.
get the insider trading thing on this of what was Richmond like in the 90s. So thank you to anonymous person who talked about this. They said that shows would be really fucking big, really big.
Yeah.
Late 90s kind of stuff across the genres. Metalcore, more straightforward shit, whatever. But no one would move out of fear for certain things, which we can discuss, but not and that people would come up to the merch tables and be like, you guys were awesome. I'll take 3 shirts. I'm sorry no one went off for you. Like that style.
Because there was like a presence that would scare people.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But so that stuff turned...
I'm out of it. Is that the same presence that's there now?
No. It's evolved.
Okay. All right.
You
The
know,
older version, probably.
Correct. But then, shout outs to all the Richmond dudes. Going to shows there is fun, and it has been for over a decade, which is more than you can say most
And
places.
I would chalk that up to Down to Nothing and
Down to
United
Nothing
Blood.
and dudes.
The Down to
Gorilla.
Nothing vibe goes hand in hand with the United Blood vibe.
Yes.
That's a party band and a party time.
And they don't play United Blood every year, and that's good. But also, if they play, you should fucking go and watch that. 'Cause it's a party.
What was it, like 2 years ago was
Yep.
the last time that? Holy
Yep.
shit, that was fantastic.
So, and a thing that doesn't get talked about a lot, when the Brace War demo came out, that was a minute. That was a moment. People
Yeah,
really
that's-
freaked
Oh
out about
shit!
that.
People
I
fucking
forgot to mention it.
Because it wasn't, again, DTN was sort of like, Cast Aside was the older dudes, and they took DTN out with them, and they did shit together, but then there were no contemporaries per se. Count Me Out, Virginia, they were Richmond, but they were on their own thing. Time Flies were Virginia Beach and Richmond, eventually become Richmond, but they were on their own thing. DTN was all by themselves. And then Brace War comes out, and then begins a lineage of bands that goes through Swamp Thing and goes into some bands today, Breakaway, Straight Edge band who's been doing it and just keeps going with it. You know,
What's up, Ace?
Yeah. He's gonna be on soon.
Great dude. Definitely have him on.
And
He's great.
big on, and like they have a scene that really supports what they got going on. So I don't like every band from Richmond, but I don't. And we didn't really talk about this because your bands would play the basement scene of Richmond, which was a different thing entirely.
That's true, actually. Wow. And I
Right.
hadn't thought about this in a long time. We played there was a Screamo scene in Richmond. Wow, how did I totally blank on this?
Because you're older than me.
Some of our earliest shows were in Richmond basements. And there was like a I want to say, help me out. The kid that was the original drummer for Interpol's label. What was it?
No.
Screamo. Basically, when I say Screamo, I don't mean like Gravity Records. I'm trying to describe what it is, like transistor sort of stuff. Do you know what I'm talking
So
about?
it was like it was
like Engine Down and stuff?
No. It was
it was slightly not indie, but indie dirt basement, some mathiness to it.
Yep, all correct.
And in reality, there definitely was some tension there between that.
Well,
and
where was
the Down to Nothing?
Where was
world.
like Majority Rule from? Weren't they from
you know
Richmond?
what? That might be Richmond.
It might be. I'm not sure.
Like I feel like wasn't it like Page 99 and Pig Destroyer? Not Pig Destroyer. Page 99, City of Caterpillar, all those bands.
All that shit.
I don't know if they were Virginia Beach, but they were all Virginia bands. I thought.
What the hell?
While we're talking about this, Pat, look it up. I'll shout out Virginia Beach. That's always been a scene that had weird shit. We talked about Blade Crasher, talked about No Justice. Somebody brought up Paper Trail. We should talk about Iron Boots. Talk about Victim, the band who sound. If you like AF, Cause for Alarm, and Victim in Pain, you should listen to Victim.
Victim was cool.
Yeah,
Was cool. Iron Boots I never got into.
No,
Were they like the kind of
It's-
Warzone type band?
They
were
sounded like
very
They
Warzone.
sounded like
Warzone.
Warzone with Greg singing.
Greg Mungo, you think?
No, Greg
Mental. Oh.
Mental.
I thought he sounded like Rabies.
I thought he
like
sounded
that.
a little bit more. Maybe that's what I'm thinking about the time I saw them live. I thought maybe he had like he kind of.
They were adjacent to the locking out vibe a little bit.
I mean,
you know?
I never got into them, but I associate them with two things, and that's sounding like Warzone and the singer making me think of Greg.
Okay, and yeah, I mean, I fucked with Iron Boots heavy.
Which is a cool combo. Don't get me wrong.
No.
For whatever reason, I never.
My boys
got
in
deep
Tar
into
Pit, and yeah, so Virginia Beach, and those are two worlds that are very different, despite being like an hour apart. So
And they had some weird
Yeah, there was
shows
like-
yeah, there was
too.
absolute tension for a long time.
But even weird, like
Old, new, current.
we played a very weird show in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
That's the only type of show that happens.
Yeah,
there.
So
Virginia
it was
Beach is a weird place.
It was literally in probably 1997, 1998. It was Indecision, Orchid,
Yep.
Blood for Blood.
I saw.
Oh boy.
Wow, that is a weird
Oh, it was
show.
on that Indecision Orchid Blood for Blood.
But
weekend.
right. We played like a skate park, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
That would be an incredible video to watch. I would watch that. That sounds so fucking funny.
It was so weird, though, and the Orchid dudes were like, they were so put off by us. Never mind what was going on for the dudes from Boston.
Holy fuck!
It was fucking. And it was another band, and we also played a show. It was Most Special Blood and the Cro-Mags with Majority Rule and Page 99, who all rolled up together in a fucking flatbread in a pickup flatbread in a pickup truck.
Panini.
They all came in a fucking panini, in a pickup truck and opened for the Cro-Mags. It was really fucking weird.
The label I was thinking of was Level Plane, and
Yes,
and
Level
it's,
Plane.
and
Oh my
it's
God,
crazy
that
that wasn't on the tip of my tongue, but it was that scene,
Yeah.
right. It was that there was a bunch of those bands in Richmond, and there was a tension because I remember hanging with the dudes being like, "Yeah, we get along with the Down to Nothing guys, but we don't go to those shows." You know what I mean?
And they don't. Yeah. Right.
Like, and I think that we would be entering, talking on people that still punch people in the head if we went any further on that subject. But yeah, the guys that with my body type were avoiding those shows for a reason.
Yeah. So, anyways, Richmond hardcore. Big shout out, Virginia. Good question. All right. Let's see. Do we go on a heavy one?
Hit me.
Okay. This one is anonymous. So, so I gotta get closer. Sorry. Let's do this. Sorry for the silence. Axe to grind with no warning.
Okay. I have no axe to grind. I liked that last record, the new one.
Oh, that was the title of the email, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought.
Bob doesn't have an axe to grind.
I don't think anyone in this room has an actual Instagram.
No.
Okay.
No, and Pat is said on other episodes, not a huge fan.
Not a fan. I thought that last thing they did was cool, but no axe.
Ill Blood never did anything for you, huh?
No.
That is a hard record.
And what's crazy is that I like the stuff that I think everybody just assumes ripped it off completely, right? Like, I think that early Cruel Hand material is fucking great.
And it's such a
And
rip
it's very no
It's very
warning.
direct.
So was
But-
Guns Up.
Guns
Backtrack
Up.
for a
You know
little.
what?
Backtrack a little bit.
Here's the deal.
Direct them.
Guns Up is the most no warning thing to ever no warning.
That's what
No
everybody
warning.
says, but in my memory, Guns Up was much moshier. Am I wrong?
But you know what?
they were
Guns
crunchier.
Up was much more popular. And
Okay.
so they
Much
had
more
more
popular.
actual moshing. Because
And they
there
took
were
like
no
3
warning
and
shows
2
where
parts,
nobody
yeah.
went.
Absolutely.
Even before Suffer Survive.
Absolutely.
They played with like Mental and Righteous Jams, like at like the height of Locking Out at the Elks, and it was the bands.
Well, and those, and it's this, the hidden secret is that Mental, Righteous Jams did a little better, but Mental never did super great in Boston.
No, yeah, I mean,
Other than the Planet Mental record release.
record release was like the big show.
Biggest
The
ones.
record releases were the big shows.
Yeah,
the
125,
Planet Mental record
03,
release,
yeah.
that record release.
All right, so let me get into the question here. Dude asked to keep it out. So I am a 33-year-old dude who's been involved in hardcore since I was a teenager. Plenty of bands have cut their teeth in the hardcore scene, move on to bigger and better things, and then are welcomed back. Generally speaking, though, those bands don't shit-talk hardcore once they outgrow it. No Warning release Suffer Survive.
Yes, they do.
Right. Yes,
Yeah.
they do, is correct. Which is a mediocre Sum 41 record, and we've talked about this, we kind of
It's
disagree.
definitely not a mediocre Sum 41 record.
I don't think
There's some
41
Sum 41 riffage in there, and it's
Really?
not on the good songs.
I also don't think Sum 41, like a mediocre Sum 41 is like, what's a good Sum 41? You know what I mean? Like, I don't
fart
understand.
in
I
a
don't understand. I don't
paper
understand
bag,
what the
yeah.
inference
All right,
is.
so, anyways,
or what I'm
a
supposed to take
mediocre
away.
Sum 41 record. I think it's saying Sum 41's bad, and this is worse. And I don't blame them for trying to cash in on the wave of weird popularity. They signed to the Linkin Park record label, whatever. But why are they welcomed back to the hardcore community after talking shit on it for so long? I saw them on tour with Papa Roach, and Ben Cook literally stood up there and said, "Don't worry, the hardcore robots will be gone shortly." Look, I get that they were probably trying to play the new jams for their mall goth crowd or whatever. Good use on mall goth crowd or whatever really made it.
I mean, I don't think they had a crowd, so
No,
whatever.
no,
Go on.
No, definitely not.
But
Not
play
for that.
Ill Blood or don't. Don't play it and then complain when people are going off for your band. And I know I'm coming on strong here, but I didn't watch them when they played United Blood last year. I didn't watch them when they played in my hometown after that. I still refuse to listen to their new records, the 7-inch or the LP. They don't get to jump shit, talk shit, and then come crawling back like nothing's happened. That's bullshit. Help me understand why No Warning gets a free pass back into the good graces of hardcore when any other band would be excommunicated indefinitely.
Okay.
Well, number one,
I got some things.
Hold
Right.
on 1 second.
Well,
and should I say the last? And also, the weird white power demo shit. I do not fuck with this band.
Okay.
Number one,
let me say
there's a lot to unpack
In
with
fact,
this.
sir,
Yeah.
you are coming on a bit strong.
And let me read his
little bit.
PS as well. After thinking on this, maybe only Harley gets a pass like this band in the way that he's gone back and forth with the hardcore scene. But Harley wrote Best
What?
Wishes. And Ben Cook asked me to leave the merch table if I didn't want his autograph. So fuck him. So truly,
Okay, yo,
emailer.
that
you have-
sounds right.
So quick.
next
quick
time
pause.
lead with that.
yeah, exactly. That's the axe to grind.
You,
we got the
you
axe to
had
grind.
you had a personal axe to grind here. Harley wrote Best Wishes, and that's a fine record. But if you're going to lean with Harley wrote something like, dude,
Age of Quarrel, dude.
Yeah.
So all right, Chris, give us some.
Right, but even the whole crawling back thing.
Yeah, look.
To what?
Let's be really, really honest here. Every single hardcore band and dude that you respect and love went through their I fucking hate hardcore phase. And the difference is that
I never did.
we've had some talks, motherfucker.
No, but not in
Put
the
you on
like.
Front Street.
I'm not like saying it's all at the same level, but like Warzone had a metal record, like
if you don't
every
think
band's
the
got a weird
dudes-
record. And the thing is with No Warning is No Warning happened to have that period in a time where it was really easy for what's going on in your head to just get jumped right out there and get spread out to everybody. And also Ben kind of had a persona of being a cocky asshole.
And
I
those
mean, he
dudes
was in a Blitz shirt just as much as he was when he was on stage at fucking
so I'm
Project
just saying
Revolution.
that dude's taking
Like,
some of those interactions and
and-
statements way too literally.
And this is one thing that they have always been a pretty easy target. When they put out Ill Blood, they were getting flack because the songs were too rappy. That's Ill Blood, not Suffer Survive.
Right.
Ill Blood, it was like, ugh, this is too bouncy. And
It is very bouncy.
But not in a
so
way
good.
like,
I
dude,
mean-
it's a hardcore record. It's undeniable.
It's bouncy in a mad
So
ball.
Is it- all lyrics pretty much in hardcore rhyme.
and there's
So if you aren't just playing as fast as you can, you're probably going to kind of sound like you're rapping.
And
a little
so
bit.
one of
I
the
don't get
big
why
thing-
that's always such a weird.
I like that observation.
and
honestly.
I think a big issue was that they got targeted. They were an easy target.
They were very
because
much
they
an easy
weren't
target.
big dudes, big scary dudes. So they got flack for
and
that.
they were cocky little.
Yeah, do you
Yes.
think
and
it plays
they
in-
had bad reps. I said this on one of the episodes.
Yep.
Those dudes were on the fucking bad trading list. They'd steal records from fucking dudes. But yo, I never had any problems with them.
They're I consider them close friends.
You're NWC.
Yeah, and but I completely understand why there are people that still have an axe to grind over them and why that's a big deal to them.
Thanks
and
for
my
playing
thing
it,
is
bringing
that-
our.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing that in.
You're welcome. I had to at some because I don't really have a lot of axes and hanging
that's
around.
that's not true. But okay.
all right. I might. I'd have to think about it.
So
but-
here's my take as a non-fan.
Yeah.
I fully get why people did have an axe to grind with them. Fully. Like, if you're an earnest as fuck 22-year-old hardcore dude and this cocky selection of fucking like who are yous comes into your fucking town,
Right.
like yo,
from Toronto.
yeah,
Okay,
Not
you
from
want my
like the
autograph.
Bronx.
like please
from
get
Toronto.
please
Yeah.
get the fuck out. Like,
Those are city kids, though. Those dudes
But-
grew up
Yeah,
in.
they
the
No,
city.
not bad, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
though.
like,
But-
it's not the Bronx.
but as a grown man, and this is what I would urge
The emailer.
Yeah, I don't know if that's I didn't what the
It's
name was,
anonymous.
if that's a man or a woman, but like as a grown person, yo, I love the heels. You know what I mean? Give me the heels.
Right.
Ben is a heel. That's
Always
his
has been.
role. I hated on it when I was a kid. You know what I mean? And love it as a fucking
Yo,
adult.
and on a slight insight, he's kind of a really nice guy. I mean, you know, he might be a dick, he might be cocky, but he's also, I've had very pleasant interactions with him over
I'm saying
time.
it's
Same.
it's hit when he's doing like No Warning interviews or whatever. I think he turns the volume up to 11. That's all.
He puts on the character.
yeah, which again,
That's just my opinion. He and I have never talked about that.
No,
but
right.
That's
I know.
my take.
That's
on it.
I agree totally.
yo, I mean, straight up, we keep going back to Seb from episode 1, who is young and likes everything to be as it appears on the surface. He likes it to be as advertised. That is you. But like, the reality is that a lot of dudes, a lot of people, a lot of figures in this fucking scene, like, there is an element of acting. You know what I
There's
mean?
a drama to the whole thing, yeah.
Right? And
Nobody's
And No
doing
Warning
that.
thrived on drama.
Absolutely.
And what I'm saying is like what the hard part to understand, until I think you don't understand this until you've been in a band a long time, is that doesn't make that might not be my steez, but that doesn't make it, if sincerity is what matters to you, it doesn't make it less sincere. It's literally just another aspect of this person's life and personhood that they are mainlining for the purposes of this thing. The same way
Everyone has a persona.
well, what I'm saying is that, like, if you dropped me 135 pounds into a fight pit somewhere, I would have to be like, okay, I guess this is the aggro version of me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And like, if you
Shirts off.
the shirt's coming off.
Of course it is.
And likewise, if you drop me on an island with nothing but like, sea turtles, you know what I mean? You'd see the caring version of me that's like, oh, sea turtle, let me help you out here.
But I'm hungry, so I'm gonna eat you too.
Well, so the point is that, like, stages are a different circumstance than the rest of your life, and they can often bring out parts of yourself. So, like, I say Ben's got a bit, right? Like, he's got a gimmick, he's got like a heel turn thing, so whatever. But like, I mean, that is part of who he is, I presume.
In there
Yo,
somewhere.
and let me give a story, because I think some of the stuff he's hitting on are at a time when I think those dudes from No Warning were like, yeah, we have an opportunity here. This Warner Brothers subsidiary with the Lincoln Park thing, Machine Shop, I think it was called. Yeah. Because I worked for a brother company to that, which was weird. But those
how
were
did this
going
come
for
about? Like, how did they get on
tied
that
into Linkin
radar?
Park.
Was it?
That's a whole story.
Was it like
Can you tell?
Sum 41?
It was
wasn't
like
it?
Greg, whatever his name was, like Sum 41's manager or something.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
Got
just
it.
going to say something that's not cool. Canadian bands have it easier. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Like,
I mean, it's Our Lady Peace.
straight up, Canada is
Coco Navi, baby.
like,
We talked about this earlier.
yo,
Can I get state support?
I'm
for the
going
bands?
to sound like a hater, right? But in reality, you take what you're offered or you can get. Nobody's mad at you for taking the opportunities in front of you. That said, anybody who tells me it's not easier to be a Canadian band is full of shit. It is easier to be a band in Canada than it is in the United States, straight up.
Right,
Yeah.
you sell like 35 records, you go platinum. It's fucking.
Well,
it's so nice.
and I mean, there's
that
just
the
like we
exchange rate?
talked.
Yeah, something like that.
Just like we talked about with some of these programs they have in Canada, there's a certain percentage of the media that has to be Canadian made, so they get more
Right,
attention
actors
right there.
and musicians.
Well,
yeah.
and like what's on TV, ads, everything has
Right,
to be
right, right.
at least, and then there is state support for artists and arts. So again, another like, oh shit, these countries have a good idea. So let me get this.
And they got the nicer side of the Niagara Falls.
They sure did.
That's true.
So anyways, they're on this, and I think they were in a weird downtime and had a weird relationship with hardcore as a scene at that time.
And I don't
too.
want to interrupt you, but it did just occur to me with the Suffer Survive No Warning era.
Yes.
There are two distinct parts of that. There's the era where they were still hardcore kids doing that, and there was the era when they had like fucking long hair and scarves that came around towards the end of that. And I think a lot of their attitude is in response to the attitude they got
no
before
doubt.
anyone even heard that record, just when they heard about the
200%.
No
move.
doubt.
200%.
So you can't
And this
you
is
can't
dudes-
blame Ben for being a dick when everyone was like, these guys are sellouts. There's that before they ever heard
And
it.
by the way, while everybody's calling these fuckers sellouts, those dudes were also doing this little band called Violent Minds. Which was Zach, who was
they
in
had-
Shark. It was in No Warning at this time.
Yep.
Shark Attack. They were
Summers
Shark
was in it,
Attack.
wasn't
Summers was in it later,
And they had
because those
they
dudes.
had
It was
Criminally
Ben
Insane,
and
too.
DeLong, and they did.
You know
Criminally Insane
what? You
later.
know what though? Your side project hardcore band buys you nothing.
Buys
my
you no
world.
credit,
But,
but
nothing.
but don't,
But
but
they were
don't
still-
pretend it doesn't mean that they weren't into hardcore.
Yeah, and so here's where
Right.
my story goes, because then they get Chris identified something. There were two eras of that, and they get into the scarves. I'm on
Was it the same members?
basically, yeah. There was no
Yeah.
like weird scabs. It was Zach was in and out because he had some
Yeah,
stuff.
it was
but-
either Zach or it was Gavel.
Yeah, so then
Right.
they we're on Mental Righteous Jam's R&R tour, 2005, 2006, something like that. We're in LA. We go to the vegan vegetarian diner. What's the spot that's been there forever?
Spiral?
Swingers?
Swingers. Spirals.
And who walks in? The dudes from No Warning. And you know what they do? Psyched to see everyone. Hugs and high fives. Come sit down. Hang out. just like nothing had ever been different. They weren't like rock stars. They didn't they were psyched as fuck. And those dudes were always cool about it. Fast forward a couple years, those dudes are at the fucked up record release shows. Those dudes are supporting. Fast forward a little more, Ben's doing his like power pop shit, Marvelous Darlings, Young Governor. Fast forward, he's in fucked up and has been doing that. You know, like those dudes have all continued doing music. We said that. So why were they welcomed back to the hardcore scene? Because people really like those fucking records.
That's it.
And because the people, I think the people like us who never like, we've never gone anywhere. Those of us that are still here, we're still friends with them, and we still hung out with them and still talked to them when we saw them.
And that Surf for Survive record has got some fucking great songs on it.
There's some good songs on it, and to call it a solid record, you might say, yeah, they had autograph tents. Yeah, that was weird. It was.
But they probably had to.
They
It's
definitely
kind
had
of the
to.
That's part and parcel of the package. Of
And
that.
they signed up for like, okay,
It's like
we're
complaining
gonna
a
go
band
for this,
had one
and
of
it
those
didn't
at
work.
Right.
Listen, I think that if that had happened now, I talk about like a post Lana Del Rey era where we like the we like the transparency of you doing the corny thing and being self-aware about doing the corny thing.
Yes.
If they did what they did back then, if they did that today, and could say, yeah, we're at the signing tent. Our fucking manager makes us. Goddamn it!
Yeah, what do you think we're gonna say? No, we had to do this, man.
Like,
Come on.
or I would say
Every goddamn band on Warped Tour is at the signing tent.
Right. Whether or not they want to.
Yeah.
but
And for goddamn, every band on Project Revolution is at the
Of
signing
course.
tent.
right. So,
One thing we do have to go back to, though.
We
White-
will,
white-
let me jump through this because I want to touch on that.
White
Yeah.
Power
Okay, 'cause
demo?
I don't want that to kind of be
that's
left
not
out
getting
there.
lost.
I'm glad you said that out loud.
Yeah,
you don't get too political on this. I don't see you
No.
demur away from things. But that is one that in 2018 will clang in a kid's head like we just hit him with a fucking nail gun.
Like, do people even know about that in
I don't know.
2018?
I don't know.
I don't.
Do
This
kids
is-
know about No Warning in 2018?
So this is.
Here, let me step and then I'll
Yeah,
let you
you
go
go
here
first.
because I'm gonna. If you email us, there's a very good chance that we're going to reply. I did say I think all three of us have very different perspectives on No Warning, maybe even on Suffer Survive listening parties in our future. So we'll
fuck,
see.
that'd be fun.
I asked him. There have been many bands who've jumped ship, so to say, have come back. Some have left the ship, but who've never left the ship, but certainly dabble in, would be very happy with being on a bigger plane of existence. Do you feel the same animosity? Sorry if that's too strong. Feelings towards other bands. Do you think people younger than you into hardcore feel the same way? It's sort of an interesting topic. So he replied, I don't have the same feelings of animosity towards bands like Quicksand, Orange 9mm. They were definitely more radio-friendly bands born from hardcore that picked a different genre to appeal to. And I love Quicksand, one of my favorite bands, period.
I love Orange 9, too.
And you love Orange 9. And I'm not big on Orange 9. But if you think those dudes weren't toasted on hardcore, you got another thing coming.
Yeah,
For
that's
sure.
kind of what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
That-
bands like Harm's Way, Code Orange, Ignite, and Title Fight are also sick because they're doing their own thing while maintaining the intangibles and very elastic hardcore ethics. Okay.
Yeah, not mad at that.
But I think some of those dudes in like Code Orange are like younger and haven't been in it as long as like dudes in Quicksand or Orange 9 or no.
But I also think those dudes aren't toasted on hardcore.
And I also think it's slightly apples and oranges.
Correct. The thing that sticks out about No Warning is that they left, saw their crowd as dumb and immature, shit on those folks who gave them this jumping off point, and then came crawling back after the aggro shit fell flat. Hold on, let me finish
I
this,
don't
guys.
hear the crawling back part. I don't.
No, there's no
me neither.
crawling.
No,
involved.
maybe some crawling in your skin, but not much else.
Hey,
Wow, that's a good one.
I worked for Linkin Park, so if you get burned out on
Sellout.
hardcore, it was cool. If you get burned out on hardcore, I understand. It's a youth-centric movement, and people change or mature or grow up. But I think it's bullshit that people welcome them back with open arms after such a dramatic falling out. But maybe I'm the immature grudge holder. Maybe.
That's true. Yes.
Based on the reaction they got at United Blood and the fact they are still playing gigs and released a new record,
I thought
think
he
it's
didn't watch them at United Blood.
maybe you saw the video after. Yeah, I know. And released a new record. I think it's plainly obvious that the younger generation does not feel the same way that I do. So I guess that makes me an old dude now. Get the fuck off my lawn, Ben Cook. So quick note, because
He's good at the closing segments.
yeah,
on
he
these.
really
Yeah.
hit it. I want to thank you for the email, and it was really good. And if you guys have hot takes like this, you want to send us, we'll read them and we'll talk about shit.
I mean, he's got a point to a point.
But yeah, but what I think is so cool in 2018, there's a lot of things that millennials get shit on about, which is a fucking weird thing. Like, don't shit on young people. Come on, man. The idea of selling out kind of doesn't exist. The idea of like, oh, these dudes wanted to make it big and then they didn't, and then they kept doing the thing they like. It's not a big thing.
Now,
and I actually got called out. At some point, we're going to talk about money because money's this really dirty thing in our subculture. that doesn't
Less,
get talked
less
about.
and less
now.
Yeah, but it should be never. But so, anyways,
But
now,
let's be
go ahead.
realistic. Turnstile in 2002, or what? People could be like, fucking sellouts. They signed to a major label. They're trying to go for it.
Yes.
And say Time and Space back then didn't do well, and they came
Right.
back and their next record was on fucking Bridge 9.
Or
They'd be like, what?
then they didn't do another record for a long time, but did other musical projects in this broad speaking world, and then we're like, hey, let's do a Turnstile record 10 years later.
Well, here's the deal. Listen, again, I'm no warning defender because I don't mean shit to me.
Yeah.
But I don't see it as a crawl back because it was here's a new record, take it or leave it. Oh, you like it? We'll do shows. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't
And,
like
right, like the first time back, they made a grip of money. Now they're like touring.
Right.
And
Because
I'm going
they
to be
want-
really sorry, Tom.
No, please.
I was saying I'm going to be really honest. I kind of like the new record more than I like Ill Blood.
yo, I like
Really?
it.
I kind of do.
I think it's a heavy record.
It's
Yeah, it's a fantastic
I like it a lot.
record.
I like
I don't
it a
know
lot.
if it's just because I'm older and I've listened to Ill Blood 1,300 goddamn times, and I've heard
And it's different.
hardcore records that sound like No Warning 1,500 goddamn times. I think the new record is
That's like a
fucking
spit take.
fantastic.
on
Yeah,
this.
that's-
We're
that's a
going
hot
to
one, yeah.
pull that quote out.
I mean, it's pretty sick.
It's a really good record. I love that it's a the cover art is kind of a rip of a weird like free
Yeah.
jazz record or some shit. It's really weird.
So
It reminded me of In Effect.
Absolutely.
Right, like
So
the label.
to answer that dude, I think what just happens to be the reality is he is the actual perfect age to still be angry at this because
It's the tipping point.
Yeah, you're just a little younger than us.
He's
and
kind of
older
at the
than them.
cutoff age for when that sort of thing mattered.
yeah, right.
You were probably
It's
really
not to
young
say that
when
it shouldn't
happened.
matter, but
Right, and
kinda
like,
doesn't anymore.
Like for me, that's like I'm too old to care, but like I feel him. I think he won't care in a year and a half, but I feel him.
But let's be realistic. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
But like on this topic, so like, would this man or woman have the same problem with say H2O? H2O signed to a major label, covered a goddamn Madonna song. The next record was on fucking Bridge 9 because they failed miserably.
Well-
they got brought back. No one had a problem with them. It's the same difference.
You got to shoot your shot. If you got an opportunity, you take it. And this is coming from me, a dude that will self-sabotage at any
Yeah, that with
cost.
one band will shoot every shot and the other will refuse to take a shot.
I won't take
forever.
a fucking shot. So like, but like, you get an opportunity, you take it simply because life is more exciting when you take opportunities. You just open doors until you fall down a pit, and that's it. And that's
Miss
life.
100% of the shots you don't take
Exactly right.
by Michael Scott.
Exactly right.
Wayne Gretzky.
So let's do the white power conversation.
Ooh,
So
I think I got to go answer the door. I'll be back.
so
This is the Homer Simpson fading into the book.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
go ahead. Let's dig in.
I know nothing about this.
a
So
lot of silence coming up here.
okay, so Morgado, you could actually maybe clarify.
you helped write some of the lyrics. So why don't
God,
you?
No, all right, let's not say things that aren't true.
It's not true. I was only joking.
Okay, so I can tell you what I know about it. I've pretty much never discussed this with them. I know what their stock answer is to
Yes.
this, and I know how the whole thing came.
Let's give
came
stock
about.
answer first.
All right, so the answer that they will give you is they have a friend who I believe has passed on, so I don't want to say anything.
Yes. No name.
Yeah. But I guess he had a recording studio, and when I don't know if it was, I think they were demoing songs.
Yes, demoing stuff for
And he, for whatever reason, thought it would be funny to write white power lyrics for the songs.
Over some of the
Over
songs
some
that
of the
he had
songs.
heard them.
Yeah, and so like he
What era is this?
This is
Post
right
7 inches
right in between the
before
7
Ill
inch
Blood.
and Ill Blood.
So it would be Ill Blood songs.
It's
with,
Ill Blood demos.
Yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah, and so he did that, and he just for a lark or whatever, and they were like, okay, they were kind of immature. About
Yeah,
it, and
they
they're
were,
like, oh,
they
so
were
they
the
like
same
played
age
it.
as me,
Yeah.
and
Right.
we were young. Like,
And
yeah,
we're
18,
idiots
maybe.
laughing at fucking Monkey Bite or whatever the fuck this
Monkey
band
Fellow,
was. Monkey
right.
Fellow. It's
Yeah. And I feel like part of that might be that they're Canadian, so they might not have
the same
different-
intrinsic
it's the
racist
same-
as they have in America.
No, but not have the same vehement was that, did I pronounce it right? I don't know.
Vehement,
The
yeah.
same vehement response to that kind of humor as
Yeah.
Americans might do.
I got the hottest take in the world here. So okay, so firstly, yeah, he explained it well that it was a lark. So that let's make that clear. So for people that think what No Warning had like a biohazard, like you know what I mean,
Yeah.
where like
Yeah.
there's something early in their history that is like, oh, they used to be Nazis. No,
it was
to be
nothing
clear,
official.
I mean, Biohazard.
This was not
That
like
was
a
an
real
official
these dudes-
demo.
Yeah,
These
this was not
dudes-
like a real recording. This is not
No.
something that they put out and sold to people.
No.
It's something that got played for some Massachusetts friends, and one of the Massachusetts friends played it for a different friend that did not find it funny.
Did not find
and
it funny.
put it on blast.
It also
And got
again,
in the
again,
early stages of the internet. And it kinda
total
took off.
clarity. It is not representative of their views, nor has it ever been.
No.
And those dudes are guys who were into hardcore, well into hardcore before that, and they were fucking tolerant dudes. Probably had the fucking stock 17-year-old anti-racist songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, these are dudes who were not on any sort of tip like that, and it's fucking obvious.
Did that ever make it out? Like, did people actually hear this, or is it
I
all
think
still?
it did. It was always a legend
it's-
to me, but I think it's been out.
I don't want to say you should go look for it, but I'm fairly certain that at some point in the history of the Bridge 9 board, somebody media fired it to a bunch of people. I'm sure that happened.
I'm going to deliver what is not at all a hot take for me, but I guess is like, I see nothing wrong with this and find it totally bizarre that people do. Like,
So it's because it was taken as the band
Supports
doing
this.
that. They thought
It was
this is
taken as a side project.
the way it was seen was even
idiot
not,
thought that
not
was a
as,
side
no, let's
project.
not even say it's a side project. I mean, yes,
that was somebody's take on it.
yeah, somebody's take on it. But the real deal, let me give the real deal, was that it was these dudes are shitty because they think this is even funny to do and record and show to people, like, ha ha ha, here, we're so funny and we made these funny racist joke songs. And it wasn't that case, and it became an urban legend of that time period.
yo,
And it had real life.
Consequences.
Yes.
Pause your numbers. 2002.
And it had real life consequences in it. It kind of made people pick sides of, like,
Yeah.
oh, do you support these dudes? Do you support this dude who's casting the aspersions?
yo, I don't have time for this. This is the goofiest fucking thing in the world. I hate everybody who has a strong feeling about this. Fuck you, fuck your mother. Don't fucking fuck with me. Like, I seriously cannot. If you were in the room with me and you said this shit, I might act weird. That is fucking weird that you don't understand what motherfucking satire is. Fuck you. That's crazy to me. Yo, if I do a... Wait a second. So, am I to believe that people knew that these motherfuckers weren't with this and... but still got angry at them doing a fucking parody?
But
of
if
a
you
thing
had
that-
if you had
I
an
don't know
axe
if
to grind
parodies-
with them, it wasn't a parody.
I don't know
It
if
was-
parody is the right word. It's just that it was like.
It was a bad joke.
It was a
from
bad
friend
joke. Yeah.
that was taken way too far
seriously.
and
And it got out.
attributed to people, and
Yeah.
then it got out, and it was,
and it could be used against the band. And if someone had something to go
and it
against
went
them, they
right at the time that Ill Blood was about to come out.
I think I just made the waveform spike when I crushed this
Yeah,
mic.
you were going
I am
nuts.
so fucking angry at the idea that anybody could be angry at people.
It did legitimately
it's a
hurt
fucking
them.
Gag,
It did.
you
As a band.
weirdos.
It did.
I remember all of this, but I didn't think it had any. I thought they got out unscathed. I thought that it was like no harm, no foul because people knew it was a fucking joke.
No, because they were getting the same thing that we see now, where a band is like, yo, they're about to drop this hot record, play the songs for people, play the songs for booking agents so they can get on bigger tours, this and that and the other. But hey, wait a second. Wait, is this the band that I see everybody talking about on the internet saying they have a white power demo? Oh, we're not touching them with a fucking 10-foot pole. Now, they still eventually did get on some decent tours, but another kind of fiction, they never did any gigantic tours. They did
some gigantic shows,
but not tours. They did
did
play
their
with
own
Madball.
Cro-Mag. Yeah.
They did
and
a
a lot of those
show.
shows had to do with who was being big, had to do with who was on top of that show.
Right.
Yeah, like they did all like the Madball reunions.
Right,
Yeah,
they did
Like
lots
the
of
Madball
those.
reunion in Connecticut that they played was packed to the gills with fucking
People waiting for Madball.
puffy vests and
Yes.
khakis and flannel shirts, beating the shit out of everything. Like
Right.
that was an insane show. But then they played there later, and it was me and Doloff and Mental and nobody.
Yep. Yep.
Now,
Because without Madball.
So help me out. Is this like my Rhode Island art school thing happening right now? That do you guys think it's normal that people should take a joke literally?
No, it was
Is that
it
normal?
hit.
I don't
it hit
think it's normal.
a
I
few
just think it
people
has
at
to
the
do with
weirdest
the
time.
topic.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
There's always
who
gonna be
isn't
someone-
offended by actual racism. You have brain damage if you're
But
not.
there's
but like,
always going to be somebody who is completely offended by making a joke that is straightforward, played completely straight about something like that.
Yeah.
Because there's no way for them to get why anyone would have a sense of humor dark enough to find something like that funny.
And if you wanted to get after them, this was your chance of
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's got
Trying
more
to-
to do with it.
That's got a lot to do because I'm pretty sure the person who brought it up already didn't like.
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
grievance. That's a grievance.
right.
Because,
So this is a way to be like, hey, look at these assholes. They have
They
this.
had an axe to grind, and then were given an axe to use.
Yeah,
Because-
that's a good
Right.
way of
Yeah.
just so
tying in the show title.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good. On brand, bro.
fuck.
You're welcome.
That really took me to a dark place. Because like
You got real angry.
you were
And-
very upset.
But I think you were giving them too much credit to call it like
Well, now
satirical.
I think Pat did just. I'm checking out his laptop. He did just order a No Warning shirt, so he's on. He's in. He's in the crew now. All right, let's get to a few more questions here. Thank you for the comment though, because that I think people got feelings. You got some heat to throw it at us, and we'll talk on it.
Oh yeah,
that was a very good question.
yeah. Thank you to the person that sent that. Even if none of us really agreed with your premise, like, yeah, air it out.
And you can have that feeling. I would tell you that's it is a dated ideal. You're right. And look around at some of the other things and those kind of, when you feel that really strong, burning, fucking irrational hate. I'm not telling you not to. I am telling you, as someone who feels that a lot and more than I should, look in the mirror and think about it, and think about where you probably should check yourself on that too, because you're probably on some hypocrisy here or there. All right.
Also, just get into the joke. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Ben Cook is a dickhead. Like, kind of funny.
Yeah, telling you to get out of the autograph booth is pretty funny. Now, if you were 15, I'd probably be more sympathetic. All right. This is a big one, and it was a long email, but I'm going to try to get through it. And I think this dude is cool with me saying his name, Joel from Cincinnati. One thing I love to discuss that many people don't discuss is the age range in hardcore. In my local hardcore scene, Cincinnati, seems the age range is becoming stagnant. We have a group of about 4 kids that are 18 that just started coming around. But other than them, we have no one else under the age of 21. There seems to be 2 major age groups, 33 to 44, which, man, this dude pulls out the stats, makes up about 15% of our scene. Then my age range,
I respect that.
Then my age range, 24 to 27, that seems to make up the bulk of our scene. It would be cool if you guys touched on how to get younger people interested, because I think in the digital age, kids are in for a while, then on to the next best thing. I know other scenes even close by don't have this problem, but it worries me sometimes that my age range group of people in my scene could be the last. Thanks for the show, Joel.
Okay,
Very good question.
Let me start by saying shout out to Cincinnati, a place that my bands should never go over, but we keep getting booked and keep getting support from the promoter out there, who I think is a cool dude. And that is a spot that, like, literally it'll be a dude with like Cincy tattooed under his eye, just intently watching my bands that he has no interest in, because it's just like, oh, you're playing, I'm at the show, I'm gonna sit through you. And so Cincinnati,
And that brutality of actually supporting that scene, like, all right, you're touring, I'm watching, this is not my shit, I'm watching.
yeah, respect. So like Cincinnati is always one of those places that I'm kind of like not looking forward to, but also looking forward to.
Yeah,
you know
I
what
want
I
to
mean?
throw. I'm gonna axe to grind.
Oh, really?
Skyline chili fucking
It sucks.
sucks.
It sucks, man.
Sucks. Who else? Do you eat meat?
Yeah.
Have you had Skyline chili?
I have not.
Dude, it's dog shit.
So here's the thing.
Dog shit. It's like imagine just ground beef chili, maybe the ground beef you get at Taco Bell, with a little bit of cinnamon or something disgusting and sweet in there, and I like cinnamon, but not in chili. With
that's
on top
weird.
on top of pasta, and it's watery, on top of plain old spaghetti. With
And not al dente. This is mush.
Mush with a. If this is the cup, here's the handful of shred cheese straight out of the bag.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Don't try.
So here's
Do not try.
I'll
Otherwise,
stick with Ben's
Cincinnati.
chili dog in DC.
Otherwise, I actually think your city's prettier than you get credit for. Next.
I'm the Skyline Chili Troll, where it's there's a vegetarian vegan option, and like
Equally bad.
it's garbage, but I kind of, because people have outsiders from, like, people not from Cincinnati have really strong feelings, as you do, that it's straight up like something that you'd ladle out of a fucking the bottom of a garbage bag. Like, So I like to go the other way and be like, no, it's all right, man. You know what I
Contrarian.
mean? Like,
You can't do that though. You know it's
But in my
it's
heart,
garb.
it's like, it's shocking that somebody would pay money for it. It's shocking.
Yo, and I paid money for it more than once. I did it at the airport and was like, oh my God, this is so bad. And then I was like, no, you know what? That was probably the airport version. You know, this is the Bobo version. Went and had it at a real spot and was like, oh no.
No, it's really,
Find something else to sell your city on. Like,
yeah,
you know.
I've been appalled by how.
Anyways, all right, Cincinnati, age range.
Like how to get young folks
How to get young
into-
folks in. I
You
actually
have
the hottest take.
I have the hottest
I have a
take.
less
All right.
hot take.
So my man Joel did give some ideas, which I think are really good, but I'm going to save them for a minute. Tom, give us your idea first.
Well, I mean, I think it kind of builds off of Joel's
Okay,
too.
so I'll say mine, and I'll
Wow.
give it in the hot take way, and then pull
Thanks, bro.
back. Yeah, you're right. Hot take way.
Wow, what a dick.
Hot take. How to get young people to go to shows. Old people, pull back, get out. Not get out. Don't like hardcore, but when there's something, if someone's sitting in the chair, you can't sit in that chair. Give these young people a void to fill, and if they fill it, they fill it, and if they don't, well, maybe this thing moves on. But if there's no void to fill, if we keep sitting in the chair, they're just going to be wandering around. They'll be looking. It's the fucking, what is the chair game where you sit down, you
Musical
walk around,
chairs.
musical chairs. If all the chairs are taken up by us 33 plus year olds, there's no room for people to learn how to book shows. There's no room for the awkward 20-year-old to say, hey, I'm in a band and I can't get shows, so I'm going to book my own, and I'm going to book that band I like from a state away, and maybe I have the money to do it, maybe I don't, but I'm going to meet them, and they're going to meet me, and maybe they heard bullshit about me that because of the internet, but they're going to meet me and realize, oh, no, that's not true. Yeah, Jimmy from fucking Canton is a good guy. So, and, you know, barring that, I know, I get it. I'm 36. I still really like hardcore in an unhealthy way. And everyone in this room does. I like it, you know, but we can't. We talked about this a couple episodes ago. Let's not break the kitty cat's neck. And there's a fear to me that that's what's happening.
So we've gotten group text from Pat Flynn of Have Heart fame, now doing
Free and Fiddlehead.
Fiddlehead. Right.
Sweet Jesus.
Got a record coming out.
Jesus is, I think, done.
So,
Oh, shit.
but he
Clear.
he shares. We're gonna have him up on here, and he has an intensity about this that he's right in line with you. He thinks that bad old man bands.
Bombs, OMBs. There are GOMs, GOMBs, but they are few and far between.
A lot of bombs out there.
A lot of bombs.
And he'll explain his whole theory, but it sounds like you're riffing on that a little bit, which is like basically. So I live my life by area denial. It is my principle that I have put records out on labels just so you can't. You know what I mean? Like just to take your air away from you, because that's who I am. You know what I mean? Fuck you. I don't want you to have the thing. I'll do this just because I can.
Yes.
Fuck you. But that principle of area denial, if old men, because that's what it is, if old men are sucking the air out of the room, making it so that you can't grow in whatever way that you're trying to, yeah, they might have to step the fuck aside. However, I have like a softer version of your shit. If we're going to be real, we know we can ID the old man that's fucking it up, and we can ID the old man who's just going to a show. You know what I mean? Like there are these like dudes, like warlord ass dudes, who are fucking like, it's their region. They're not letting you play their region unless you go through them. And they have calcified tastes, even if they're trying, you know, like everybody in this room is open to new bands, but that doesn't mean we're the most plugged in fucking people. You know what I mean? So like, there are dudes who run their cities or their regions that way. And it is to the detriment of the young bands trying to come up. That said, I think that you also run into dudes on the other end of that spectrum who are just kind of like, yeah, young dude, I don't know what the fuck you're about or understand you, but if you can fill 100 people here, you got space in my world. And I think that we can ID them. I don't think we got to like exit the olds. You know what I mean? I think we just got to be like, listen, can somebody have a heart to heart with like, you know,
Norman Corman.
Yeah, Norman Corman, fucking warlord general of the Sacto region, to say, hey, can you get a young kid under you? It's what all these labels do. Every label that we know, when the dude turned 35, he got a 19-year-old
to run that shit.
Because it was basically an acknowledgement. I can't keep up. I'm flipping houses with my wife right now, worrying about fucking like what the fuck, like if the young band that we're going to get is going to break up or not. I need somebody on the ground.
Or the idea that was brought up here. The young guys see that the old guy's doing stuff, but he's slowing down. He's not really doing the stuff they like, so they're like, "Fuck, we got some shit we can do. Let's just go start doing these shows." And they start to grow and grow and grow. And old dude's like, "Oh, cool, good."
Well, right.
You got to share the table. That's all.
100%. But I'm not with
Share the
Bob
table.
exactly, because I think that the kid who is going to self-assert and make his way in his or her way in this fucking thing is going to do it. Even if the warlord is threatening fucking to crush him. You know what I mean? I think that there is a plant that grows through the sidewalk, and
That's true.
and that's the person that ultimately is going to make the thing work anyway.
Regardless, and they're going to create their own culture.
Right, and I don't think that we should be making shit harder for anybody. I don't think you got to pay your dues, and none of that bullshit
none
that
of
people
that. No
fucking
kiss
do.
in the ring.
If you want to book a fucking show, book a goddamn
Book a fucking show. I don't believe in any of that fucking nonsense. But I do think that the seed, what is that Christian analogy? The seed that grows in hard terrain. Like, I think that that's honestly like
Grows stronger kind
I
of
think
deal.
that's a thing. So, yeah, the warlords do need to step aside or take on like a protege that like actually knows what the fuck.
Well,
is up.
and that's part of it too, is that if you're gonna take on the protege, don't baby it. You can step back a little bit, and like there's a bunch of young guys from the shore who do this. I don't book the shows at the shore. 23-year-old named Brandon St. Gianos books all the shows, and that dude fucking rocks. And before him was a dude, Ian, who's now like 26 and is, like, oh, too old for this anymore.
That's where my brain immediately went with that question, because, with the shit I fuck with Long Island and I fuck with the shore. And that's not some old warlord. That's like Scanlon, and it's Brandon and Ian. So to me,
But
that's
those
like,
dudes got ushered in,
So
though,
to me,
no?
that is like somebody handed it off to those dudes.
Like
so
Bob
maybe
or-
that just depends on where you're at, because I feel like it's a young dude scene around
But
here.
it all depends, though, because, like, say the Shore had someone like Bob, had someone like Swank, had all these dudes that were booking shows.
Right, what I'm saying
that
is
kind
they
of
don't-
brought Ian and everyone else kind of in and, like, let them, like, get to the table and would be able to do
And there
stuff.
was kindness, and there was times when you stepped away, and then there's some people who don't need to step away, and that's cool. You don't have to, but know that this is something we talked about kind of privately, is that there's an interesting dynamic when you're in a band and you're 22 and you're going and touring and you're playing, and the guy who's booking your band is 22, 23, 24, 18, 19, 20. When you're dealing with them, you're on a peer level. If you're in a band and you're dealing with dudes who are significantly older, the power dynamic is really different. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying that exists, and it's a different thing, and it
can be exerted in a negative way.
And it can be exerted in a negative way, and it could not be exerted, but perceived in a negative way, and perceived in a way like, ooh, is this how it is? And,
Right.
and there's a lot of
This
things.
guy promised me $100. He only gave me $50.
And weird
Do I have-
strings
yeah.
attached to that. So that's where a lot of that comes from. A lot of this knowledge can be shared. It can be passed down. And I get a lot of it from peer to peer and asking and figuring it out.
Mm-hmm.
And you fail and you fucking figure it out. And, and those dudes, they don't need to ask me a lot of questions. They know how this goes. It's like, oh, how much? Oh, okay, we can do this. We can't do this. So how do we get in touch with this? And, it's stuff they struggle with, but it happens.
I think price incentives help, because that's what he had mentioned in the email.
Oh, yeah.
Because like a lot of places you'll go to and it'll be like, under 21 it's $14, but if you're over 21 it's 10. Fucking flip that shit.
Oh, because of the alcohol style.
Yeah, or like a lot of places will do like, hey, if it's your first show it's free, or if it's this, like they've done that sort of stuff. I mean, it's also a loophole that you can fucking exploit forever. Yeah. But I think that's a cool idea to get someone like.
But I think also make sure you have someplace that's gonna do all ages.
Yeah.
18 plus is like
fucking death of
a
life.
Major thing I've noticed. Like
18, really.
So I had the opportunity to meet Ian MacKaye, and that was a pretty crazy thing.
Is he still straight edge?
I don't think he cares.
The immediate go-to. That's like
that's the reason he doesn't. That's the reason he doesn't do big speaking events.
Thank you for once again making sure there's no minor
Tom's over there laughing.
That was a
so
joke.
Much. I know.
I know what it. Yeah.
But no. He was very impassioned, and you kind of get the feeling it's not the reason he doesn't drink or smoke, but it's the reason.
So he is still straight edge.
Yes.
But
it's
did he have X's on when he talked to you?
Yeah, he like the construction gloves. He was very passionate in a way about the connection between the straight edge scene and doing that, and the thing he was really passionate about, which was why is there a boundary of entry to art like music that's if you can only go to see music be played if you're 18 and up,
and especially with hardcore.
What the fuck? Yeah, and he saw it, and Pat's gonna say some shit here. Pat's hater, contrarian nature is rearing its head like fucking out of his throat. But I thought that was cool, and so make them shows where people can play, and also, the band of 17-year-olds, they might not be great, but that's why they shouldn't headline, and you let them open. And you be honest with them and be like, hey, you guys aren't great, but keep working. And you throw them a bone, and you don't have to pay them a bunch of money, but book young bands, support young bands.
Right. But not everyone's lucky enough to have like a Brick VFW or to have.
We don't have the Brick VFW. We had the Brick DAV, and then we didn't. And then we didn't have the Brick VFW. We had the Manasquan Women's Club, and then we didn't. And so then we had the Adamson. And now I hear that in Mass that's a really hard thing to find, but there are so many weird places, and now more than ever, places to do some kind of event. Fucking talk to people.
VFWs
get someone older. Are everywhere, and there's all these different places. You don't have to, and you can find it.
I used to book shows at a hotel lobby in Albany, New York.
I've been to many shows at weird hotel rooms, like hotel places. I've been.
It doesn't have to be a club.
It doesn't have to be.
No,
dude.
I think it's better when it's not.
In Latham, out by the airport.
Oh well, that's technically a bar. The landing zone,
and it's but it was the bar out by the airport where it's like, oh no,
they don't care. They don't care what goes on.
They're like, no one comes here. Like, oh cool, you're gonna pay me $200 to do whatever here. Sounds great. Give us $200.
Right. I got a call. 2 years after I booked a show at a strip club. 2 years after, from the person being like, hey, could you come back? We need that, because they were so happy how much water they sold.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You know
what I mean? Right. Like, hey, did you want to do a show again?
Right. And so there are places that need it, and VFW halls, those kind of spots. And you, by hook or by crook, and like I said, there's a lot of places, especially when you're in cities, there's a lot of clubs, and they do these shows on the reg. But find places that make it easy for young people to do it.
Absolutely. I think New York would be a nightmare to book in right now. Like if I was a kid, holy fuck.
Like where would you go?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Like you go to like the Mercury Lounge. Like who the fuck is gonna let a kid come in and be like, sure?
I mean, what was that spot that was doing shows for a while? Santos Party House, and that hasn't been doing shows
Santos.
for a while.
I mean, like Vitus will let you come in.
I think they closed.
Yeah. But St. Vitus will let you come in and like book there.
Yep. You know what? Vitus is an option.
Maybe you need to travel out to
Brooklyn
the
Bazaar.
But for a kid, though.
Oh right, yeah. That's why you do some suburb shit, and for on the other side, flip side, bands know that you want to play New York, and you want to play Boston, and you want to play Philadelphia, and you want to play Albany, the big four, but throw a show to Hudson Valley. Throw a show to.
Oh, you should be doing those shows anyway.
They've got a great thing going on.
You should be doing those shows.
Yeah, and you should be doing those other spots. And
the
bigger things. New York. Right, play Long Island, play the Shore, play Wilkes-Barre, play these weird spots, because then the next time you play Philly or you play New York or you play Boston, those guys come because they're like, oh, I have a stake in this. These guys played in my fucking hometown or 2 towns away.
If people are invested in you, people will travel to see you no matter what level you're at.
Okay, so let me read his suggestions, because I did ask him for that. I was thinking maybe discounts for ages under 18. That's a cool idea. Discount admission if you bring someone underage.
That's a weird one.
I don't know if you want to be.
Eat. Possibly flyer at places like Hot Topic or bigger shows of bands that people that shop at those kind of stores go to. Absolutely.
Yo,
Spread the fucking hardcore reality.
I'm gonna be honest.
Go. Is it painful to you?
No, okay. So when I did shows, I got off on the weird shit.
Yes,
I got off on the.
We were
flyering,
talking
the
about the YouTube video.
Right.
Flyers.
I
remember that.
I like to do shit, and I think that it's fun to do creative shit and whatever. I'm not suggesting don't go to like the Hot Topics of the world or the fucking hang outside the Devil Driver show or whatever. That's part of the fucking joy of being a person young enough to have the time to promote a show in that way. I think it is fun. I think you meet people. I think it's a fun experience. Have I ever seen a return on that investment? I don't think I have. You know what I mean?
No, and it definitely is dependent on where you are. I mean, I've heard stories of the long ago the band's really hustling and being like, I'm going like more in the pop punk band world.
They would show up at the mall
with their shit to play it for people
with a boombox 100%
right.
and convince people.
And headphones. But like hardcore's a little bit more abrasive. But even if it's a token thing, I think there's a lot of shows that people don't physically flyer at, and I check myself because I'm like, oh, you know what? There's a lot of people who are into hardcore who are like, why would I go to a record store? I've never been to one,
I mean,
and I'm not being a jerk. I'm not even saying that in an ageist way, but a lot of people don't buy hardcore records at a record store.
They might not even know where to find a freaking record store.
Right.
But if you can catch those, and you catch the randoms, get the flyers out, get there, try to spread the word. And
I've flyered at hockey games. You know what I mean? Like I've flyered at every possible.
Pat, you flyer the right show at a hockey game, you might have a really interesting show.
Pat should get more credit than he does. There was a time in about 10 years ago now where he and our friend Justin Loudon from Closed Casket started doing shows in Albany, a scene that definitely is not big and definitely has gone through some true ups and downs.
Used to be big.
Was big.
For what it's worth, even through the time that I was 20, Albany. So you hear classic bands talk about their Albany shows being bunk. You know what I mean? And then there was a change, and their Albany shows were dope.
Yep.
And maybe for a decade, there was so much fucking energy in Albany, and it was lit. And you had two distinct scenes that we could talk about these scene divisions all the time. I think
it's always
funny.
weird. It's same
like,
thing.
So you had Devoid of Faith, and you had One King Down, and whatever. And but somewhere, and maybe it's venue, but I don't think so.
I think it's around when end of year was starting 03, 04.
Yeah,
it just falls apart.
So actually, you know what? I'm going to place blame on a couple people, and that's not fair because it's like we talked about. Like sometimes it's the strong seed that makes it through, and maybe there wasn't enough of them. But there was a group of dudes who kind of just gave off a bad vibe, and kind of like alienated a lot of the young people, kind of made them feel like they were clowns, like they didn't know what the fuck was up. And like I have mixed feelings on this because at the time it was a real detriment to shows being fun, and like because those dudes would churn out like 4 bad bands a year and monopolize shows, and like that period really sucked. But at the same time, I can't blame those dudes. I really think that like there just needed to be a couple stronger personalities in the mix from the young crowd, and there just wasn't. And like we also need to be honest about the fact right now, kids' interests are diverging over to, like, we talk about SoundCloud rap and we sound 500 years old.
Yes, the oldest.
But it's just a fact. Like somebody told me that the kid from maybe Balancing Composure, which is not a hardcore band, obviously, but like
Tiger's Jaw.
No, Tiger's Jaw. I know. Listen,
that's his homie.
I just heard that the other night, and that blew my
Did I tell you
mind.
that?
Yeah, you told me that the other night. I was like, wait, really?
No,
I barely even know what SoundCloud rap is.
Wicca Phase, Adam is the homie for a long time.
Yeah, that's your old
I can't pretend I understand what the fuck he's doing, but I just
better be on his good graces and get on one of their tours soon. So.
I support it no matter what he wants to fucking do. But no, I heard that he was joined on stage by, I want to say Balancing Composure.
Yes, you're correct. Coward.
But who is also now a fucking rapper of some type, right? And I think that we're going to be seeing a lot of that. It has a lot of the fucking DIY ethos that people like. It has a lot of it's even easier. There's a lower barrier to entry because you don't even need fucking friends.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think
you
that
need a computer and a
straight
Wi-Fi.
Up, straight up. And I think that we're going to see a lot of people migrate, young people.
Yes.
That's going to be what's hot for a few years, and it's going to be it's going to be to the hardcore scene's detriment.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be acknowledged, and there's going to be scenes that really calcify. Even the young dudes that take over scenes, I think, are going to be of a certain traditionalist mindset, and there's going to be a lot of people that feel choked out by the thing, and that's unfortunate. Bob is kind of the guy who always has like the positive suggestion on this podcast. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely.
So I'm going to take your role for a second and say, if you are in one of those scenes, just keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Like, if you're playing music and it's frustrating and you're in one of those scenes and you feel like you're getting no grip whatsoever, you have to, and I say this again, this is a tough thing because I don't think I wouldn't wish my career on anyone. You know what I mean? Because I love what I do, but there's no explaining to somebody, yeah, I've done it for a decade and it might go big next year, but
And Pat's trajectory is very different than mine. But when I'm at family gatherings, my cousins who I actually love will be like, "Oh, so what do you do?" And they're, I work at a bank. I sell this, and like, "Oh, I'm kind of like doing this now, but also whatever." And they're like, "Yeah, you kind of just do whatever forever. That's cool." And I'm like,
forever.
I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much." So,
but I wouldn't wish it, but I will say that I've wanted to make music for as long as I can remember, and therefore I did that, and my life has been enriched by it. So if you are discouraged, I need you to understand that the only shows we were getting put on at one point were of the most discouraging sort, and you have to just sort of just power through that. So if I'm talking, I don't know who's listening to us. Yeah. There's a wide cross.
We're going long here.
I know, but if I'm talking to a 17-year-old, just keep doing what you're doing.
Keep doing it, and don't let people, older, younger, parallel to discourage that. So, good question. We got time for a few more?
We got time for at least one more. I got one that I don't think we can address.
I hear you calling from the riverbank. I will be coming when the air is black. All my time is lying on the factory floor. And all my time is lying on the factory floor.
We're going to take your writing, so let us know what you think of doing that. All right, so let's go. I'm going to do some quick hits.
There's a good one on Twitter.
That's where we're at. Favorite hardcore lyricists?
Oh, fuck.
Hardcore lyricist.
Okay, so who did the actual writing for 108? Was it Vic that did the lyrics, or are we saying Rob did the lyrics?
Probably a little bit of both.
Probably a little bit of both.
You wanna go with
That team, straight up, I think that if you listen to the later era, not later reunion, but like pre-breakup, late era 108 material, in a social situation with headphones on, you will feel complete and total atomization from your fellow man. Yeah. You will feel as though you are an island on which you can have no contact with another person, complete alienation. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's a thing you desire to feel, but I will say if you walk through a busy subway terminal, not like I'm talking like one of the Union Square or what, and you have Curse of Instinct playing in your
someone might get injured.
Honestly, you will feel as though none of this matters. These people are fucking automatons, and you are scared for your future because you are totally atomized. And that is so fucking impressive.
Absolutely. Drago from Killing Time.
Oh, nice.
Thought he was a good
Okay.
lyricist.
Yes.
It's kind of a wild card for me.
Yeah,
honestly.
good. No,
Right.
but
it's
it
like
hits
for
his roots.
hardcore, and
Yeah.
to think that dude was like 18 writing the shit, pretty solid. Rennie from Starkweather, I think, is a great lyricist.
Yo,
Oh,
that's
Starkweather.
you're the wild card man.
That dude is just fucking ridiculous. Like,
we're gonna talk on that band at greater length one time.
they're
Because
one of my
that's so
all-time
weird.
favorites,
Such
and I
a
think
weird band.
I think Carl Earth Crisis is a fucking great lyricist.
Yo, so I don't think many people would necessarily agree with us, but I stand on the fact, I've mentioned it in other podcasts, the fact that I remember those lyrics for 20 years.
You remember those 6-syllable word lyrics?
Yes. Like he was wordy as fuck.
Yeah.
And so I'm not mad at that. I'll go with that.
And you
That's
know who
a
I
weird
will
choice,
also go
man.
for? Bedard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could agree with Bedard.
I feel like Calling Hours is one of the most like
He's got
perfect
some good
hardcore like songs.
The man
ever.
wrote a song about cigarette smoking in a way that wasn't lame. Like superhero is basically about
My
cigarette
partner-
smoking, and it's not lame. It's a.
I think
good-
Wes is a great lyricist.
I think
All right,
Wes
so
is kind of.
yeah, let's name you.
That's kind of a
just-
gimme.
You're gonna say Drago, Starkweather Dude.
Yeah, I mean, I have a
Bedard.
ton
Those
just
are
because
really
I'm like
good.
a
Those
dork.
are really good.
But yeah, Wes A.N.
I mean, this might just be because we just watched them 3 nights in a row, and it kind of falls outside of hardcore. But fucking Blake from Jawbreaker,
Brilliant.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, which those lyrics are
Yeah.
incredible. For hardcore, like I'm kind of a dumb hardcore kid. I'm like walking down the street with my Big Mac.
You're going Jeff Parlin.
like that
Breakdown.
just on like on a
That's
pure
good.
like. I don't want to say stupid because I don't want to call Jeff Perlin stupid because I'm sure he's a swell guy.
Smart guy.
But on just pure stupid meathead lyrics, Street Fight by Breakdown is amazing.
I think.
I mean, my entire band was based around what it is by Breakdown. So Breakdown
so-
lyrics for me are.
I think Tom might have been leaning into this. I'm gonna go Walter Schreifels because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he wrote all the.
Start
No,
me.
so I'm gonna go here. This was a weird one.
I just thought
Slip,
when looking at your idea.
Slip.
Great lyrics.
Quicksand, Slip. The lyrics on that are amazing. Now, Quicksand, the most ardent traditionalists might say that falls way outside of hardcore, but
Nah,
then-
No,
we'll let
but
it,
we're
we'll let
not.
it live.
None of them are in this
In
room. with us.
2018, Quicksand falls.
I'm,
Well, in
I'd
hardcore.
also like to add Brendan from Incendiary.
Oh, okay.
I think
Yeah,
their
Brendan's
lyrics are
very
really
good.
well done. He makes songs that rhyme, but they actually are
Can
thought
I say the one I just stole from your iTunes?
Absolutely.
George from Blacklisted.
Oh, good.
No
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, clever.
I've said this. George might take offense to this. He dances the finest line
Yeah.
of cool shit and lame ass warrior poet,
Yeah.
and he threads that needle so perfectly.
He's done it very well for a very long time.
I am shocked at what he gets away with and what he can make me like.
He, I mean, if you go back to the old Blacklisted stuff, I think he was clever there in a more straightforward way. But then once you start with Peace on Earth, War on Stage, his levels, he just he one
progressed
ups
as they progressed.
He one ups there,
He-
and so,
that's a big jump, that record.
And then, I would say there was one other that was on the tip of my tongue. This band definitely falls outside of it, but Popeye from Far Side, I really like a lot of his lyrics. And then I would actually give credit to Mike Halachuk and Damien from Fucked Up. I really like their lyrics. Some real weird, heady, twisted shit. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going Endeavor. We talked about them last
Yep.
week or 2 weeks ago.
Mike Olander.
Fucking great. I'm going to give Justice a lot of love on this. I think that
oh,
that's a
underrated.
good
Yeah,
one.
that's a really good
Sharp,
one. Doesn't get credit the way he should, even from the demo, strong lyricist.
no question.
I think Mike Score is a strong lyricist from All Out War.
You know what?
I mean, he's written the same subject matter for the last 25
it
years.
wouldn't be the
but
one
it's-
that I jumped to, but
Jamie Hatebreed before, like,
you know what?
dude, Perseverance and Satisfaction, both great lyrics.
Honestly, like the problem with Hatebreed period is that even though they had their metal period and all that, it's still kind of one note intentionally. You know
No, but
what I mean?
he's a motivational speaker wrapped in riffs.
Right,
and like it's literally like
I think it's
that's
impossible
what
to
it
hate,
is.
but
No,
I-
yeah, I don't
but-
think anybody's hating on that.
So-
I got 2 more too. Whenever.
Let's give.
I got one that I've been talking to you for like 3 days on the group chat about how much I love All Else Failed because they played that
Yes,
show
you
the
have.
other day.
You've been really on it.
And I really don't think people listen to that with the ear that they should. I really think All Else Failed has some of the most. I always
Who
say-
is the girl from Philadelphia you're trying to leave Amelia for? Because that's what you're pitching this All Else Failed thing. You're just trying to get some heart. Wow. No, but no. Real talk. that band has such a local love in Philly. It's wild.
Oh, I mean, they are.
We're checking your New York visa.
Listen, I actually hate Philadelphia.
I know.
But I love some of the things that they've done there, and I fucking love All Else Failed. And I'm going to bore everybody with this real quick. They have a song that is actually about the experience of being a front person in a band that is not just not corny, it's heartrending and it is seriously, I think, one of the best examples of, like, I don't relate, but imagine singing a song where you are screaming at your audience, I don't relate to you when you sing along with me. I don't feel you in that way.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
and
No, that's a real thing. And if when you start talking about the performance side of singing songs you wrote as deeply personal or meaningful to you, and it's like, oh, I've now performed this 50 times, and you're screaming the lyrics back at me, but you don't know what I was feeling when I wrote it, and I don't feel what I was feeling when I wrote it because I've now performed it 50 times.
Right. I think it's just, to me, like, as a dude that plays music, I think All Else Failed is operating at a different level that most people are not recognizing.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's more because Wes made me think of it because, and this is no knock on Wes, but before Wes, there was Ian from Reach the Sky, and Paul Bearer.
Paul Bearer from Sure.
Both those dudes tread kind of along the same lines of what Wes.
Can I close it
really
off?
made
Yeah.
blow up.
I'm gonna give one last one. Ray Capo. He does get some shit for Youth of Today and generic lyrics, but when he hits Shelter, he's got some wild shit going on.
Shelter is wild.
Yeah.
Wild in a way, because he's singing about a belief that he took to heart so much he like went into it.
He's rapping about spirituality for half those
God
fucking albums.
And making it catchy.
yeah.
And making it catchy, and like there's a lot of people who he certainly is a person who's gotten flacked over the years, and I could understand if you're in 2018 going, Ray Capo, who? But yeah, I'll rep for the dude every day.
Absolutely.
All right, I want to give this to Tom and Pat mostly, but Chris, if you want to chime in, I'll just say I tend to lean towards this, not the greatest, but he's good. Talk about how Tim Singer is the greatest frontman of all time.
He's not
He's not the greatest, but he's
well,
very good.
One of the more intense frontmen.
You know what, though? Okay, so listen, I'm a Tim Singer actual super fan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
We had a little group chat bonding over Kiss It Goodbye
I love Kiss It
and
Goodbye.
Dead Guy.
I think Kiss It Goodbye owns their vibe more than any band I've ever heard. I think they're fantastic. I think Dead Guy, fucking awesome. But if you watch videos of Tim, or like,
He just stands there.
he just stands there. And
But he
like,
projects like this weird intensity.
he
though.
does. But like, I don't know. Like, we talked about it with Harm's Way. I need murder up there. You know what I mean? I don't care who you are.
But he looks like he's on the verge of it. Though,
I
which
weigh
is kinda
100.
nice.
I weigh 130 pounds. There's no reason that I should be murdering fools and you're not murdering fools. You know what I mean? That's how I feel.
Anything else to add on that, Tim Singer? We could.
No, I mean I think he's super intense, and I think he's able to like radiate this like craziness without like fucking jumping into the crowd or punching people or whatever else.
Here's a good frontman thing. Do you think Tim Singer is a better frontman than you?
Better singer by
No,
a
frontman,
factor
frontman,
of 1,000. No,
frontman, no.
nobody's a better
Do
frontman
you think
than
he's
me.
a better frontman than you, Tom? Don't be shy.
Absolutely.
You do?
What?
I don't
Yo,
think
you're
I'm
not
that good
giving
of a
yourself
frontman.
credit. You got to
No,
give
you're
yourself
pretty
more
strong.
credit.
You're pretty strong.
You're really strong.
Like I'm pretty.
You
I
gotta
don't
give
know.
yourself- Dude, you might. I feel like he's fishing. You're fishing.
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
He's
no,
not.
I mean,
No, I think you're a better frontman.
no, I think my bands are really good, like cool, but like I don't.
Chris, you're a better frontman.
I don't have anything to compare it to because I never saw like
Okay,
any
yeah,
Tim
that's
Singer
okay.
band live. I will say that Dead Guy's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That was. I'm not going to read your thing, but I think you're from Calgary, and you maybe have a band called Duska, duska.bandcamp.com. Thanks for hitting us with those. We're going to go through a couple quick ones. Is Satisfaction is the Death of a Desire the perfect hardcore record or close to perfect? Thank you, Adam.
It's close.
It's really close.
It's really really close.
I think that we said that probably that Inside Out record, but like obviously it's
so
short.
like a 4 song, or 6
All
songs.
right.
whatever.
Starkweather, list of bands written off? Do they
No,
deserve to
just
do that?
never written in.
Never
I don't
written
know
in.
if they were
never
around.
really.
I think they were like
They had like
the
a cult
kings
following.
Yeah.
of the like. So if you ask,
They had a
like,
little niche cult.
But if you ask Jake Bannon, or if you ask Brian Fair from Overcast, or if you ask all these
Most
dudes,
influential act on a lot of dudes who went on to
huge
Well,
things.
a influence, not the Rorschach gets some credit in there with a lot of those dudes.
You know
too.
what?
But everyone wanted to be Rennie.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would go Starkweather.
But like they never really on,
Well, the
and they were
Rifters,
always so
okay.
fucking weird.
All
and,
right,
like,
talk about the Bible.
Okay.
Religious studies major.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I read it.
You ever read the Bible?
I mean, I did not.
Did you ever
as
read
a
the Bible?
kid.
When I was like
Like in school.
10,
Yo, I never did. I was cool. My
Yo-
parents were cool.
Tom's band ripped him up on stage.
Yeah. Oh, did you? That's right.
Oh, dude, it
so
was
many.
Tom's going to hell.
You just steal them all from hotels.
Yeah, actually. That's
cool.
I mean, it was mostly like the Atlanta dudes and all this sort of stuff, and it became
They
like
mailed
a
you
thing.
boxes.
Honestly, I think that moment is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
So for listeners that aren't from the South and etc., I'm from the Northeast. When I
We're
went
godless up here.
When I
No
went
gods.
to the
Heathens.
South for the first time and found all these like recovering Christians, quote unquote.
Oh, yeah.
Like people that were like in the wreckage of their family life, which was about religion.
And where the like later on from this, the like God free shirts really mean some shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like for me, God free is like obviously my
Cool
dude.
slogan,
I'm a
homie.
college educated
Yeah.
adult. What are you talking about? But like, but for the kids in the South, it's really a rejection of not just God, but it's a rejection of everything that alienates them from their parents, everything that like isn't making sense in the society.
Heavy shit.
Like it's a thing. People in California, people in New York, you can't get this. It is fucking weird. And you
Not
know-
for us.
and
Not our world.
Not our world. But when you spend time in Atlanta, when you spend time in the area around it, you start to get it. And so for the Atlanta kids to show up at festivals and shit like that, for Tom's band, which had a explicit anti-faith sort of agenda, like, or at least lyrics. I won't give you an agenda, but the and for them to rip up Bibles. Now, ripping up Bibles is totally like childish nonsense. But for people that is like, for people that it's like a meaningful symbol of a rejection of a thing that they really feel has impacted their life negatively. Yo, I loved it. I thought that was the funnest, fucking coolest thing.
It used to get fucking wild.
Now,
I think it's the
question,
coolest thing.
Tom,
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember right. Was it the last Foundation show where somebody brought you guys Bibles, and instead of you guys tearing them up, was it Foundation tear them up? Am I misremembering this story?
I think Foundation did it because that was kind of like.
It was like a gang. There was a bunch of the Bibles, and everybody was ripping them off. It was a whole.
Well, I
thing.
mean, we've had like experiences at different festivals and stuff that like. You know, like we play like Gainesville Fest, and like people would like literally like be like lighting them on fire and like firing them into the crowd, and like remember that band Red Roses for a Blue Lady?
I do.
Yes.
That dude got up on the stage shirtless, like freaking out like you've never seen, tearing them like and like fucking eating Bible pages like at a fest. We played Furnace Fest in Birmingham, Alabama.
A religious
Yep.
fest.
Yep.
You know, mostly, you know, it was like kind of like
Yeah.
a mixture of a secular and like a. Yeah.
We're calling that a Christian fest.
Like the second you said it, I was like, how did they play?
Well, I mean, yeah. So like I forget whatever we played with, like Hatebreed and In Flames, whatever the fuck it was, and same kind of thing. It was like our Southern heathens versus these fucking Christian dudes, and what's happening over there?
Time check.
And just people like fucking freaking out. Like, you know, some people are ripping up Bibles. Christian kids are like picking up the Bible pages. Like,
Well, that's the part you think about for these kids, as Pat described. I think he described that really well. What it's like if you're new to that show and you see a dude up there tearing the Bible in half. It's like, oh, whoa, where?
I mean, it was
am
a fucking. It was a war. It was like
moment.
a religious war. And then on the very first Axe to Grind podcast, I had an axe to grind, which is related to this.
Oh,
Please.
nice.
Which I
Throwback.
throwback,
Flashback Friday.
more like throw down.
Oh.
Because this was the whole thing. We had done a tour with Throwdown, Most Precious Blood did, and that ended at Furnace Fest. So after the show, whatever, one of the dudes from Throwdown, Keith, I guess, comes up to Matt Miller and he goes, "Most Precious Blood before this tour, thumbs up, man. After after tonight, thumbs down." And I was like, "You are not a fucking punk. If you're that offended, you're in a band.
Whether you believe or not, or
that
whatever.
you were in a band that was literally 666 Visions.
Yeah.
And now you're gonna be like, that wasn't cool what you did. Well,
Wow.
I think that's mad corny. And
Fucking Front Street, man.
I think it's fake. You know what I mean?
Listen, he's an Orange County guy. They're all secret Republican.
Trinity
all,
Broadcast Network employee, probably.
You know what I'm saying though? Like it's
I
like
agree.
even if you don't agree with it.
You can totally not agree. That is the
what?
definition of being punk, is to be able to see that and not agree. And if you wanted to say something, that would be cool. But to go, now I don't like you.
Right, like you guys are terrible. We just spent 3 weeks with you, but now you're not on our, favorite band list because
We just took you out of our MySpace top 8. How about that, Tom?
your fans, the kids that like your bands actually stood for something and not just funny songs about straight edge. So yeah,
honestly, I don't know how old y'all were at that point, but I cut some fucking slack for that 33-year-old because I think he was at the perfect when that happened, when that fucking No Warning record happened, that perfect age to feel alienated by it. Like, if Keith, I don't know, I hope he.
dude,
was,
I was like 27, so he's
Nah,
probably
okay,
like
okay,
25.
all right, now we're
There's
cutting him
no-
no slack. All right, he's a corn ass. So listen. We talked about this with Elegy or XF. Who?
XLGX.
Yep.
It's 2018. I've seen everything guitar music has to offer.
Yeah.
If you want to fucking grab somebody that has seen everything, heard everything,
Grab him by the fucking throat.
that's what I'm saying. I would go to a show where somebody fucking burned the Bible, and I would go to the show where somebody was like
Reading verses.
saying like, "Let me tell you how you're gonna burn in hell, you apostate fucks." Like, please give me something. Do you think I need to agree? I don't need to agree with a motherfucker.
If I went to a goddamn show and they were like, kill every chubby Irish guy, I'd be like, I wouldn't be like, I am offended and triggered. I'd be like, fuck yeah.
You might start looking around a little bit, though.
A little
like,
bit.
okay.
And I'd be like, I'm a little skinnier than that guy, so I could probably outrun him when shit goes down. That's what I'm looking
You're
for.
pushing him down.
not
Yeah,
just
you know what
that,
I'm
but-
saying? Like, I'm going to run over you. But
but at most shows, it's like you'd be the majority anyway. So fuck it.
of course. But you know what I'm saying, though? It's like, let it fucking, that's part of
I
the
know.
deal. And if you are offended by that as someone who never really proclaimed to be Christian, if some dude from fucking Zayo came up to me and was like, you know what, man? I liked your mosh parts until you did all this bullshit. I get it.
You're like, weird.
You know
That's
what I mean?
So weird.
Stretch Armstrong guy was like, hey, we were cool, but that kind of bummed me out. I'd be like, you know what? I get it. This is your thing. You've always stood for that.
Sure.
You don't fucking. That's like one of the most unpunk things I've ever. What happened?
You know what?
I had no idea that Stretch Armstrong was like a.
Christian
And
band?
actually,
No, I didn't.
we got asked about them.
Mind you, I paid pretty much zero attention to
Well, I
Stretch
mean, they
Armstrong.
never probably made an impact.
They played a dozen shows I went to, and
They actually did.
I know.
Larrabee had a soft spot for them, I bet.
They were buddies.
So, quick story.
Yeah.
Because I know at some point you want to talk about Back to School Jam. We're never going to get to it, but
We'll probably do it on a
framing
future episode.
that Framingham Back to School Jam. Stretch Armstrong was on that show, and literally every. I don't want to say cool kid because it was like the
Cool
Boston
kids.
Scenester cool kids and us second tier kids were all outside because none of us gave a shit about that band. And Larrabee came to the door and just yells, "Stretch Armstrong's playing. Everybody get inside except you, Matt Bailey. You dropped out of hardcore 5 years ago."
Amazing.
That's really funny.
Ian Larrabee is a fantastic human being.
I love that dude.
Yeah, I think we're all on the same page. Shock me. You know what I mean? Like fucking.
Whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
Like shock.
Grab
me.
somebody. You got to grab the fucking world by the goddamn throat.
Shock
Okay.
me. Do something extreme.
Yeah. So the Bible. It's a thing, and
It's a
yeah.
book
fake.
that
It's
exists.
made up.
Yeah,
I'm not even mad at it.
I'm not mad at the Bible. I just don't. I think it's a neato story, and it's fine. And for some
So is the Da
people,
Vinci
if it-
Code.
right? Yeah. Oh, I'm
We're big fans
more
of that one,
into
too.
Lord of the Rings. I
So-
really like the A Song of Ice and Fire series. Some really good podcasts on that too. By the way, if you think our podcast is nerdy, go dig up some Game of Thrones podcasts.
I mean, that American hardcore book is fake, most of it too. And I mean, I read that too.
All right. So we're gonna go quick. We already talked about Stretch Armstrong enough. That's good.
Nice kids, nice men,
Yeah, all right,
gentlemen,
Yeah, nice teachers for 10 years.
nice
yeah.
57-year-olds.
Can we do this one quickly? Please grind your big fat axes. Good use, buddy.
I like that.
On which classic hardcore records you think actually suck. Matt Dooner, whose location is parts unknown. So
Actually,
Bold.
bold.
you're gonna say bold, speak out.
Yeah.
I'd say bold at all. You know.
But
what I mean?
no,
I don't
but-
agree.
No, we don't agree. But
like
there's
bold.
a differentiation there.
2 good songs.
Bold, just in general.
Speak Out is not a good record. It's
You don't
not-
Looking back is
it's
a good
got
record.
a good song on it, but it's not a good record.
I like Speak Out. But the big thing that I think happens with Bold in general is there are people who love Bold, and they make people who don't like Bold hate Bold because of the way they love Bold.
You know
That's
what?
a fair assessment.
I don't know if I run
You're
into
from
people
Albany, though.
that
That's
love
fine.
Bold.
No,
We-
because in 2018 there's not a
absolutely
lot.
just argued with a dude all week.
Our friend Yvonne Murillo, who's making fun
He
of
loves Bold.
loves
Bold.
making
Loves
fun of
Bold.
us for going to Jawbreaker, and is like, what kind of world are we in that a band like Jawbreaker can sell out Brooklyn Steel, but Bold can't?
Oh God.
Yo, Bold
Yvonne
can't-
Murillo,
that's
I
because-
love you.
But that
yeah.
was his legit.
But like, that's not
non-argument.
going to happen.
We're in a
Never.
room a bedroom, New York bedroom that would be the size of a bathroom anywhere in Middle America, and I don't think Bold could sell out this space.
No.
Not in Middle America.
I think Bold is horrendous.
I
do
you
love
need to
Crippled
listen
Youth,
to them again. See,
Weird.
if you live Purple Dude, all right, we'll pause there. We'll do a listening party on this. I like Bold. I don't love Bold because of the people who love Bold, but I still like them. And it's one of those things where people who love Bold like Bold, but really love to talk about loving Bold and love wearing the Bold
They're a
shirt.
shirt band.
Let's
They're
be
a
honest,
merch band.
What they really love is the logo.
Yeah, they love the logo. They
I'll
love
give Bold the
they love the
logo all
look.
day
And,
long.
and that
Smart.
record, I think there's some cool tracks on Speak Out. They really catch me with the late stuff when Tom Capone joins the band and they kind of get a little churnier. And it's weird. It's a weird take on that stuff. I don't think it's a sound that's big now. I don't think it's a sound. I think a lot of kids who, consider themselves into like Youth Crew or the Youth Crew sound don't fucking like Bold, really. Don't like the sound. They sound more like Instead or fucking Gorilla Biscuits. But yeah, Bold, I'm all right with it. But that's Chris's classic record he doesn't like.
I have another.
He has
one,
another,
actually,
okay.
but I might have picked
Yeah.
before Bold if I hadn't had Bold on my mind because of Yvonne.
Yeah.
7 Seconds, The Crew.
Oh, whoa, that's a hot
Hot
take
take.
because
Pat's going to get defensive like I did on Bold. There.
yo,
Pat will
I
Hello,
know
LA.
I think it's one long fast song for like
It is.
85% of it, and I'm not.
It's a good-
I can't
it's a really
I
good
can't-
song,
I
though.
can't get down with it.
and actually, he's not my favorite lyricist, but I'd say Kevin Seconds was
Pretty great lyricist.
a step above. I think he was
especially for the time.
Oh
yeah.
my, for the time, yeah. Let's put it like
And was
that.
in it was in a real different headspace
Yeah,
with
100%.
it. So
I do enjoy other 7 Seconds stuff. I
Yeah.
enjoy his lyrics. It's just
not the
that one record I know is supposed to be the classic, and to me I'm like,
Oh, you know what? It
and
wouldn't
to me
be-
I'm like, Walk Together, Rock Together. is
I'll
better.
go Walk
Oh,
Together,
yeah, I
Rock
would agree
Together.
with that,
I think
too.
there's some of the next couple records that I'm not going to say like, yo, this is the canon, but he's doing some cool stuff.
I think
yeah.
Trust is on the Crew. Is that right?
Oh, that's a good song.
Yes.
That is, if we think about what hardcore was at the time and we think about what that song did, which is a song about like actual romantic love with somebody, that
One
is
thing left between us,
amazing.
that's a must.
You could play that at your wedding.
That's
you know
true.
what I mean? Like, it's fucking.
Ray Capo covered it on the Can't Close My Eyes tour, sang it dedicated to his girlfriend. So
That's
you guys on that same wavelength.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so it sounds like Tom.
Can I go band rather than record? Like, because they have like a discography.
Do
Okay,
it.
go for it.
That it's a hot take. I'm probably gonna get shit on. Definitely by
I
Morgado.
have the hottest take, so please.
Maybe by you.
Oh, guys.
Outburst. Band sucks.
Things
Killing
suck.
their Killing Time and all those types of bands did it first and better.
So they weren't around. They had already broken up by the time you got into hardcore.
Barely, yeah.
Yeah,
We
they were-
played
they
their
were
first
early, right.
reunion in like
Right,
one of
yeah,
their first
yeah.
reunions. And no, I mean,
Outburst had a minute where they became canon. I spoke on this earlier, but Chris remembers it clearly
Yeah, I
too.
do, too.
It was very.
Who was the
like,
band that brought them in?
Outburst? Right Brigade helped, and then
Right Brigade and the Floor Punch Dudes.
really pushed it, and then No Warning Dudes clinged onto it real hard, and it just.
but I
popped.
mean, is it mostly
But
because
it
the fucking
definitely
hard
was-
way?
No, it's because it got hyped.
and the
up.
Mission Impossible mosh. It got hyped up. It just got, and this
you
is
know what?
somebody asked
I
something. This is
accept
going to
that it's
connect.
derivative.
This is somebody's going to. It's going to connect to a question about a very different kind of band, which is like, how does one band, a couple people in the echo chamber yelling loudly enough can make something grow, and
For
that's what
sure.
happened with
Yeah,
Outburst.
that's what
All
happened.
right, classic band that.
Or
Do you got
record,
one?
yeah.
Do you got a classic record? You
I,
looking
I-
through? Yeah.
I just have the hottest take of all time, which
Okay.
is that I don't have any need for the cro-mags in my life whatsoever.
Ever?
Ever.
Like, you never put on Age of Quarrel, like, God, like, Street Justice doesn't make you
no,
want to.
really, truly. Like,
I'm gonna make some "Listen to the Age of Quarrel" T-shirts. So let's figure that out.
I-
Pat will not get one.
I
I'll wear one.
I honestly felt alienated from it as a kid because of the kids that were into it. Because it was like
So yeah, can you talk about this because you were in a very different place with this, as compared to Tom or Chris or me.
That was our Bible.
I feel alienated from it now.
Yes.
so.
Oh yeah,
They
ruined it.
It was the poser record du jour when I was not in my most formative era, but just past
that, the late 90s.
It was just a thing that like the shitheads insisted on jamming down your throat as like a thing, and like I just felt alienated from it forever. But I've come back to like, Troycore was not my shit when I was a kid. You know what I mean? Like even though I saw those shows, but now I'm like, you can put on some of that music and I'll be like, I've totally see the validity, not Section 8, but I totally see the validity in this.
Disciples of Berkowitz?
Why are we going down the third tiers? But
what about Clay People?
Jesus, dude. Oh my God.
Clay People reference. Whoa.
Yeah.
What's up? Straight Jacket, maybe?
Straight Jacket I'll fuck with. Anyway, point is,
Stigmata is the only Troycore
but
band.
the only one I know really. But I came back to a lot of shit that I didn't like as a kid. For whatever reason, Age of Quarrel still, I gave it another shot like fucking 3 months ago, where I was like, you know what, I've tried this record 11 times in my life. Maybe this will be fucking the time. Still, I'm like, okay, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. I'm not mad at it, but I'm just like,
it just doesn't hit you.
I don't need this. You know?
Wow. I mean, I think about it. I go, this record's 32 years old. These dudes are like fucking insane.
There's people that think it's absolute, actual perfection, and I respect it. I mean,
it's pretty goddamn close.
But I'm not there.
Yeah, it is a perfect record to me. Continue to give it a try, but that's another one in the same way as the fans really heard it. It became, as someone who loved it at the time, it did get to the critical mass of okay, we can stop talking.
It got a
we can
little
stop
bit
talking
of the
about
outburst treatment
100%.
around the same time because
Yeah.
they were kind of in a lull.
I would say that.
And it got talked up.
And because the straight edge thing was kind of over, but people were kind of getting into heavier, harder stuff. We'll say, okay, mine. I don't even know where this take will be, but people often think, oh, Bob likes this kind of stuff. New Jersey, Turning Point. Don't need them in my life at all.
Yeah.
Don't care.
Never done anything.
Honestly.
Never. And like, there's a lot. I talked about Four Walls. Four Walls is so much more important to me than Turning Point. And I don't even say that in a dick way.
That's a hot take. I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a hot
and it's
take
just something.
in
Absolutely. And I mean,
this one.
like, if you really want my New Jersey love, it's Vision. Vision in the Blink of an Eye.
Now
You've but no.
You've played
Here,
your hand.
But dude, Vision was a
quick thing in New Jersey. Like I said it to older friends in New Jersey, and it's like, like. If you're from New Jersey and it's like, oh, I don't like Vision, it's like, oh shit. If you're from anywhere else and it's like, oh, I like Vision, it's like, oh, what? Shocker.
Correct.
But it's a very local
canon
for New Jersey. And Turning Point kind of gets thrown around, and especially younger people. But it just never clicked. And I tried, and I have tried.
They're more like almost like a Philly thing because of Trenton and everything.
South Jersey, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they were more.
But yeah, Turning Point kind of gets thrown in this classic.
I've got a lot. I'm currently at the Wikipedia.
Like the NYHC Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Throw another one out there.
I'm gonna say Life's Blood. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, I like them a lot.
I feel like that would be up your alley.
No, you know what? You'd think it would be.
Yeah.
And I just when I listen to it, I'm like, yeah, it sounds of the era. I get it. You know
Not for the week. Yeah, there's some of the mythology helps their sound.
Super Touch. Overrated as fuck.
I can't do it, and I
think they got overrated and they came back down, and I like
that's
them
true.
have a
That's all true.
A lot of this stuff really does
Properly
fall
rated.
under that outburst umbrella where they got talked up.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I don't think Stigmata's classic hardcore or Troycore. And I made the joke in the last episode, like, that's the proof in the pudding. Like a couple guys who can be very intensely into something can really push it to the point. Like, here's the thing that the conversation about the cro-mags. Young people. And I will be 500 years.
Bob's got his eyes
Bob is so tired. It's 1 o'clock in the morning on a
Friday.
Friday.
And I got a 2-hour drive home. Age of Quarrel is the cro-mags record. Okay? That's it.
Not Alpha, cute. The whole Best Wishes thing is cute.
Not Alpha and Omega. Not Near-Death Experience. And I've had people talk to me, younger people, like, oh, I love Alpha and Omega.
Well, because people like to be contrarian.
I mean,
but that's only strictly
I'm
within the last 10
contrarian
years.
you right now. I pretty much like the entire cro-mags discography.
And that's fine.
That's acceptable.
But if you're going to say,
you're not going to pick it.
You're going to
say,
say,
no, I'm not going to pick it over Age of Quarrel.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
People don't do that.
Yes,
they do. Yes, they do.
I say this as a non-fan.
No, we did have that guy
as a
non-fan.
non-fan.
Best wishes. And
Non-fan.
You're right.
You'd be insane to say anything.
Yeah.
Like it's just so weird.
I mean, Best Wishes is fantastic, and if it wasn't coming after the best hardcore record ever, it would be a classic in and of itself. But it's kind
cool.
of over.
Even the bad records have something to offer, in my opinion.
Yeah, and there's tribes.
But if you put it above Age of Quarrel, you're high as a goddamn kite.
That's
right,
goddamn
like
right.
you're trying to prove something. I don't know.
Okay. Any others we want to throw out there on this classic tip?
Let's see. Government issue don't care at all. Not even a touch. Not even a little
Does
bit.
anybody?
No, I don't think they do.
So.
I
They get name
so.
checked a
They
bit.
do.
I don't think so.
okay.
But they were too old to like people for people to really give a shit.
Like I know, like
Legless Bull. It's.
I know, like
fine.
Alone
I
in
mean-
a Crowd covered Government issue.
Yeah.
And I
Man in
I
a
don't know
Box.
if there's a video of this that exists, but if there's a video
Yeah.
of it that exists, I feel like the only person going off is Jules. That's
Yeah.
just my guess.
In My Eyes, don't care at all. Floor Punch, don't care at all. Let's see who else we got.
Going
Wait,
through.
what was the one?
In My Eyes
In
and
My
Floor
Eyes and
Punch.
Floor
My Floor Punch, and it's hard because I know they are now old, but
I
In
guess
My
they are
Eyes-
classic rock at this point.
Yeah, I know. Floor Punch, used to have a personal spot
Yeah,
for, but
same.
Uh,
But I think Floor Punch stands the test of time in a way.
I
In
think
My
they
Eyes
do.
and 10-Yard Fight don't.
they don't. Correct.
Judge, don't care. Kill Your Idols, don't care.
Pat's just looking at the New York list.
Yeah.
As you can tell, we're in New York.
I mean, Judge kind of ruined its luster, but you cannot front on those records.
No, you know what? It's.
I
Weird.
bet he didn't like them before.
Straight up, it's weird that I don't. It's weird that I don't like it because it actually kind of pushed things into this heavy space that I enjoy.
you enjoy.
Right, but
Like, do you like Strife?
you know what?
Oh, that's a good point.
So first stage dive was at a Strife show. I like the one record.
One Truth.
No, In This Defiance.
In This
probably.
Defiance.
It's a better record.
Which ones with Turning Gray? You
In
and
This
me?
Defiance.
Yeah, I like that one better. But no, I wouldn't say I'm any sort of Strife head if that's what you're asking.
What was the stage?
But you
dive?
like
When-
Strife
when
more
was
than
it?
you like Strife more than Judge.
It's at Bogies, I want to say, and it was a bad stage
Bogies,
dive.
yeah. You like Strife more than
Most
Judge.
first stage.
Yeah, I probably do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
fine.
went to QE2 to see with Strife.
I might have been there.
It was end of line Indecision Strife.
Might have been there.
Yeah.
Indecision was a big thing at the time.
Okay, so
Yeah,
so
sorry.
I
In
think that's
Albany.
good on our classic list.
You
Thanks
had
for
to
the
put in Albany
question.
as fuck.
That was
could've just let
that
it
was
slide.
good.
They're like,
Big
in Albany.
Big in Albany. All right, so this ties into the. We'll do this one quick. How does a band like Martyr AD become a legacy band without being that hot in their day? True, not hot.
Echo
We've had
Chamber.
Echo
Same
Chamber.
bullshit.
Outburst syndrome.
Same thing as that.
Yeah,
It's just-
that's
Just
it.
at a smaller level because Outburst can't, Outburst can pop up and play a reunion at Brooklyn Bazaar and have it be awesome.
Because it's with Killing Time, so it's like the perfect storm.
Yeah,
of-
but like no one cared about Killing Time at that.
and
Let's be honest.
Martyr AD did,
But,
did,
yeah.
did
The kids
some
went to that
fests
show,
or
went to
whatever.
Outburst, and I
That's
feel
not
like
cool.
when Martyr AD played that fest, the people who want to see Martyr AD went to that fest, and it'll be the same thing as Outburst.
I mean,
where
now
that's
and they're
it.
doing
They
more
don't
and
need
more
to go see him
shows,
again.
and they're getting smaller and smaller
Yeah, which is
responses.
what
and
happens
kind
when
That's
you
the way that goes. Yeah.
Okay, Logan asks, do you perceive younger generation fans to have a short attention span when it comes to hype bands? Will Turnstile fade the way some other smaller acts before them have?
No.
No.
No,
I
and
do
I think-
agree that
I mean,
there
they-
is a short attention span, but I think Turnstile
Look
is
how long Turnstile's
superseded.
been big.
Yeah, they've been big since like 2013.
You know
Right.
what? If this record, I think this record's good. I finally gave it a headphone listen to actually,
Yeah.
And I think it's actually stronger than I said
Right.
when I reviewed it. I think it's cool, and I think it has some lasting value.
Right.
If it was even a shred less than what it is, I honestly think maybe we'd be approaching a time where kids are ready for the next thing. But that's not a knock against Turnstile. I just honestly think that the attention span is really, there's a quick turnaround now.
Right, but I think
really
a hype
there
band
is.
is
I
like
think
a
it's
band
almost
that a record came out 2 months ago and now everyone's fucking loves
Yeah,
it. I mean, the one percenters, the Code Oranges, the fucking Power Trips, the Turnstiles, they've been at it for a fucking grip. So they've gotten to this point, but it wasn't like Code Orange put out a record and then everybody jocked them. They toured for 10 years.
The last Sound and Fury I booked was in 2009, and we booked Power Trip. That was 2009.
right.
And they weren't a brand new band. So yeah, that's a good one.
They
Thanks.
played United Blood the first time we played United Blood. I
Jesus.
think.
Right.
And that was like 2005
And
maybe.
my feeling on this is: do you perceive younger generation fans have short attention spans when it comes to hype bands? I perceive that the issue is access to information, and that when
too
you
much
have the
information.
ability to listen to anything and everything at any time, fuck yeah, you just kind of digest it and you consume it in a different way than older people.
Because even
for
going
better
back to
and
last
worse.
week, when Ivy was talking about Dead Guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
In our age range, how the fuck did you find Dead Guy?
Yeah, and
There's no way, like, unless you had a cool older friend, which guess what? Back in the day, none of our older friends were dicks.
No,
and we're like,
that's right.
you don't deserve, like,
Right, yeah,
if you had the
that's
friend
right.
that owned the Antidote 7-inch, he's not letting you hear it.
Yeah.
Or, like, taking away your purple burn shirt because you don't belong. You don't deserve it because you're a New Jack.
No,
That's
he's
not
passing
personal.
along. And
That didn't happen to me.
That's-
No,
It
but
did
he's
happen to
passing-
my buddy.
And he's
Happen
passing
to Tom.
along and letting you hear shit. So,
That really
do that.
happened? Shit, I
Do
bought
that-
thing
do that
for
for
$5
people.
at a Newbury Comics. Those are fucking easy to get. I could've
All
just
right,
bought a new
so
one.
so here we go. We're almost done here. We've been running for a while.
Shit, I
Let's
can go
see
all
here. I know it's.
All right.
I don't sleep.
I could go all night. Hint, hint.
Yeah,
All right, Matt says more turnstile, less good, clean fun. Yep, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think everyone in the universe.
More like
Yeah,
more
like all
turnstile, no
this good, clean fun talk and like admissions. That doesn't mean we want people to like the
Yo,
band.
if-
They're
if
bad.
this
We're
month-
not even putting them on the fucking playlist, okay, homies?
if this band does a reunion in the next year, I'm taking.
Yeah, we're
I'm
getting a
blaming Pat Kinlan for that because
Yeah.
it was his fault.
All right, good question here. Biggest bands that didn't really tour, and how does that work? You write a really good record, and
Yeah.
it's great, and people fucking catch on to it.
Yes, that's possible.
Or you be like a local phenomenon.
Yes,
Yes, yeah.
or you big up your own community so much
Yeah.
that you live there forever.
Yep.
And
that exists. There's lots of that. Local headband.
yeah, and straight up, like, if I sound dismissive of it because I'm from a different thing where I like to travel, like to tour and get out and do all that shit, it's not intentional because I think the other thing is just as valid. We've talked about Wisdom in Chains on this podcast. Like,
Yep.
I think that sort of shit is honestly cool. I think it's
There's a
cool.
place for that.
I think it's cool to
And
be.
I think that band's great.
Like,
But
all
I'm saying, like, the non-touring, like, there's a place for Incendiary to call
Yeah,
the spot,
yeah, yeah,
Wisdom in Chains,
Yeah.
all this, you know.
I think will All Else Failed play a place besides Philadelphia this year?
I mean, they played Brooklyn
Oh, they did.
last week.
What?
Last Sunday, they played Vitus with
Wow.
Boys It's Fire and Dissolve.
Wow.
Sold out.
Fucking
Oh,
all
it's
else
sold
out.
out.
Really?
Imagine that. Well, I mean, it's 225 people.
Yeah, but I mean, fuck it. Man, I wish I went. All right.
Okay.
I would've
anyways,
told you.
so yeah, there's a way, but it's a weird thing. Let's make this the last question.
Lightning round. Here we go.
Yeah.
Now, last question. If there's, and we'll get some deep answers here. If there's something you wish bands would do in 2018, what would it be? Could be a collective answer or answered according to each other's preferences. Thanks for laying out the
Yeah,
rules,
thank
brother.
you.
All right. So if there,
It's our
so-
fucking axe to grind. We will say wherever the fuck we
if
want.
there's something you wish bands would do in 2018, what would it be?
I wish they had. I mean, and this is gonna be trite and it sounds fucking cheesy, but I wish bands had a little bit more substance. I think like no one had like. I don't need you to go up there and talk for 15 minutes in between songs, but something more than like I want to give a shout out to my friend for coming out to the show would be kind of nice. I miss like the kind of social kind of. I don't know. I feel like there's not as much kind of information being passed around and kind of, you know, being hip to certain people's mindsets and stuff like that. I don't think that doesn't really happen anymore. It's sort of kind of get up there, say some cool stuff, get out, you know, and sort of either like you're a party dude, let's rip some beers or whatever the fuck, or like you're just up there kind of giving shout outs to your friends. You know, I wish people had more stuff to say.
So I have a kind of maybe a wild card one that I honestly think that in an era where recording is so cheap, I don't see any reason why you're not doing immediate covers or immediate clapbacks at response songs, whatever, to like if you have real contemporaries, if you are like the problem is that in hardcore nobody knows how big they are, right? So like you don't know who your actual contemporary, your actual peer is. But if you can establish who that person is, I think that you should do a cover of their song the week it comes out. I think that you should do things that are like fun and kind of antagonizing in a way that is like, it's not beef, it's light, it's fucking, but it's just like.
But that doesn't antagonism doesn't exist in hardcore anymore.
It does. It's so weak. I really find this so irritating. Like,
No, when you hear about the back channel shit, it's like, ooh, but it's like, yo, this is so fucking pedestrian.
I mean, it goes back to
It's
the
not.
fucking Bible tearing.
yeah,
Right.
That's straight up antagonism, and just for the sake of it, almost half the time.
And it's performative, too,
Right.
you know?
So like,
It's actual, but it's performative.
So that would be a great example, actually. If you were coming from, and these scenes are kind of either in a lull or in a different space. But let's say that you were part of that God-free scene that was in Atlanta at the
Sure.
time. in 2018, when you can go into a demo style studio for $200 total, why wouldn't you cover the God band that just put out a record that week? Like, why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Like, it is a provocation.
Very hip-hop.
It's a provocation. Like,
Right.
I think there's a reason why so many hardcore dudes end up as hip-hop guys. And I'm not talking about, like, the SoundCloud thing that, like, kids are rapping now. I'm talking, like, you know, you meet a lot of dudes that are, like, they hit 30 and they're just like, yeah, I listen to hip-hop. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, like, but I get it on one level because like, I follow hip-hop news, and how much hardcore news do we follow? We might be the closest that hardcore has to news right now, and
We're just trying to be Joe Budden.
Yeah, well, we're literally just giving our opinions on everything instead of being like, oh, yo, did you hear about, like, the cinder block through the windshield thing that happened and whatever? And we can't get into that gossip because we don't want to die young, but, like...
I mean, we ain't that young.
We're all pretty old.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take it.
I had a good run.
So the point is that, like, I don't see a reason why not. Like, self-defense, we like to record whenever we have a day off on tour. This next tour that we do, if we get a day off, I might be like, yo, which one of our peers put out a record
in the last whatever?
Yeah, let's fucking cover it, you know. But the problem is I don't know who our peers are. Like, for me, that's like blacklisted. But, like, you know, like,
is that for the rest of your band? Like, would they even?
Well, they would be game for that. Like, but, like, what I mean is, like, that wouldn't be a hot, fresh take for a young person, because to a young person, we're both, like, you know, like, maybe blacklisted is old for somebody, maybe my band's old for somebody, but, like, it wouldn't be like, oh shit, like, it wouldn't be like run to the internet with that. So what I'm asking is for, like, one of these young hot bands, like Day by Day. I heard them last episode, thought it was fucking lit. Like, yo, that something that's, like, kind of, like, hot and immediate and cool and, like, people are into it. Like, I think it's weird that they wouldn't, like, take the opportunity to be like, yeah, let's fucking set it off with somebody from California, and if we meet in the middle of the country and play some shows together, that's cool. People get that it wasn't a real fucking beef. It was just like, let's make something worth fucking talking about in 2018. You know what I'm saying? Like, like you said, you got to grab people's attention. I think that's a cool way to grab people's attention. I know this is like a left field suggestion that we start all covering each other, but, like,
no, I mean, it's something that hardcore bands have done a lot in different times. I mean, it's a tried and true
split
tradition.
7-inch with, you know, you
or
cover
a
the
split
other
7-inch,
band.
or like a lot of bands would do, like, hey, our friend's band did this record and we're on tour. We're gonna cover one of their songs.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but like, in the era where you could record something today, shittily have a friend master it tomorrow, and
have it up the next day,
have it up the next day. Are you motherfucking kidding me?
Right.
Like, there's so much potential for us to have, like, a real fucking, like, back and forth gossip fucking community ass thing going on. And like I said, it's all good. It's not actual beat you up beef. It's fucking, like, it's a jab. I'm keeping you fresh. I'm keeping you on your toes. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Everything are like subtweets. There's no fucking people calling out people anymore.
Honestly, like, maybe self-defense, who is, like, you know, playing fucking folk music at this fucking point, like maybe
basically
maybe we'll fucking pick a young hardcore band and just
start setting it off.
Like, I'll just be like, yo, we can do your songs better than you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, try to do one of ours.
Like,
damn, that's a move. Covering a band's songs that you're like, we can do this song better.
I think there's very few bands that I can't do better than. So fuck them.
Wow.
I'll step to anybody in 2018
and then have them try to one up you by doing it self-defense.
I mean,
dude, I do like the mean, like, oh, these young dudes think they can do it. Let's hit the real studio and really fuck this up. And they can't clap back, and you're like, motherfucker.
Right. This is what it should have sounded like if you would have paid $250. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys recorded a demo. We just mastered this track.
No
I
big
mean,
deal.
okay, so, like, not to go on forever, but, like, we've talked about it. I honestly think, I don't know if they'd ever cop to this. I honestly think Converge, with every record, kills everything that is going on at that time. They mimic it and they murder it. And so, like,
it becomes theirs.
It becomes theirs.
Yeah.
It becomes part of their canon. So, like, when metalcore bands, like, started, like, Converge put out, like, the definitive metalcore record and was like, oh, you're all dead now. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
You live in our shadow now. Like, the one record sounded like a Touche Amore record because it was like, oh, you're all into this Touche La Dispute
world,
thing.
yeah.
Like,
we're gonna shut it down.
We're Converge. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like,
right.
I'll chop the head right off that fucking snake. I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Like, and maybe some of those records work for you. Maybe they don't. But, like, they even had, like, Neurosis things going. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
they just, like, I really like that. I think that's the coolest fucking thing in the world.
So
But
that's
I mean, there's not a lot of converges out there.
No, there's not. But I think that some motivated young person is going to be the next Converge, and I think that they could.
Just shut it down.
I think they could get a leg up on this by being like I'm gonna hey, just in the spirit of healthy competition, I'm not mad at anybody, but I think I'm better than you, and I'm gonna cut your fucking head off.
What was the question?
what do you think? What do you think bands could do
better, more
different?
In 2018?
Yeah. What would be something you would like bands to do in 2018?
What I would like them to do that will absolutely not happen. Sorry. What I'd like them to do that would absolutely not happen is not fucking do stupid goddamn reviews/interviews with major fucking mainstream publications. They always suck great big goddamn donkey dick. They're the actual worst things. Everyone, I'm sure I know somebody who writes something, I'm going to insult them, and I apologize, but it's always comes off as the most pretentious, don't know what you're talking about thing. And I understand why bands like Turnstile are, have to do it, and why Code Orange has to do it because of where they're at. But I just think they're the worst things, and I wish bands didn't have to do them.
I have mixed feelings on that. I totally get why somebody, like you said, it's part of the fucking process. But I also do feel you in that, they end up I look at Fucked Up, and I'm always Fucked Up had a great run because of the attention, but maybe also fucked themselves because of the attention. It's hard to ever tell. You know what I mean? So, it's a gamble. But I might be with you where somebody comes to you and you're just like, you know what, you Gloss. I thought Gloss was the funniest fucking thing in the world when they said to MTV, yo, don't take us the fuck down.
Don't talk to us.
Don't cover us. Now, is that what I would do? I don't know. I might just be like, yeah, listen, that's fine. People are gonna say what they want to say, and you're welcome to too. So I don't know if I'd get angry, but I love that they got angry. I thought that was fucking cool.
I thought that was probably the one thing Gloss ever did that I was like,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I think that's the equivalent.
Because I've always hated that. I hated it when National Geographic came along and did whatever. I've always hated all of that, and it just is such a bum out. Because I want my friends to do well, and I get that. That's the thing. It's part and parcel of the deal. I just can't stand it, and I've yet to see one that I think is good.
Because in reality, it's the equivalent of when you watch a documentary or you watch the CBGB's movie or whatever. You go ultimately, whoever made this is a fucking outsider, and you clearly don't get it.
100%.
It'll never be the way it really is.
Yeah, it sucks because sometimes you get someone who should get it. Because I'm sure you guys talked about this last week or whatever. That dude that wrote the Negative Turnstile thing. Yeah. Some people looked into that dude, and he's in some weird jazzy punk type weirdo band.
With a saxophone.
Yeah.
And it's you'd think that dude would at least have somewhat of an idea.
No,
he's too pretentious to think
that kid tipped his hand when he said they're playing the venerated Damage City festival,
which celebrated by blah, 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 blah.
Which, don't get me wrong, that's totally cool. That's cool fest. Who cares?
Right.
But
nice way to put it. Yeah.
But yo.
Venerated?
By you saying that it's the fucking most esteemed thing gives me the distinct impression that you have never been to a fucking actual show in your natural life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's just weird. I find the whole thing weird. I have an axe to grind with the entire concept of publicity for hardcore bands and media for hardcore bands that isn't somebody's.
Stay the fuck out of our scene.
That could just be me being a grouchy old fart.
Yeah, we're gonna have you on again because that's the thing that we can debate. I have mixed feelings.
So, all right. There's something you wish bands would do in 2018, though. Bands? Keep working. Don't... All right, here's one for bands, and my bigger idea is more to the audience at large, because I think this is, talking about bands is cool, and that's a big part of this, but I also like to talk to the entire thing. Bands... More one-off shows, more weekends, less packaged bills, less 4-band packages.
Less fuck you horseshoes.
Well, that's about the audience.
We got to talk about that for a moment.
Yeah, we'll talk about that at some point.
More acting like an underground band.
Yeah, there's somewhere over the time hardcore is kind of built out into these ideas that you need a booking agent, and the booking agent is going to get you on the right package tour, and I see it, and sometimes that really works, and we've kind of become accustomed to that in a way that just doesn't it doesn't vibe with what a lot of the positive experiences I saw in being hands-on and not hands-on in hardcore was these shows that's like, yo, yeah, fucking Jimmy in Poughkeepsie likes this band, and this band, so he got them all on a show, and it's weird, and they're three bands that wouldn't make sense together, but it's cool. And it's, the tour package thing, I'm not going to pretend like that happened in 2010. That's always been there. Friend of mine, Jeff from New Jersey, talked about the other day to me about a package, little East Coast run of shows that Shelter, Resurrection, Face Value, and Life of Agony did together. So, yeah, weird. 91, maybe 90.
I saw that show in 1993 at Studio One.
Right, there you go.
No Face Value though, but Shelter and Life of Agony. Yeah.
Rev did that in the late 90s.
Right, and there was a lot.
Right,
so
that was a big tour too.
The Rev tour, and
Better
the
than 1,000 in my eyes.
Yep, Speak 714. Yeah.
I got an axe to grind on that.
Yeah, we could.
You got beef with Dan O'Mahony?
But that's not like it's some new thing. It gets talked about like it is. It's not like bands just discovered having booking agents in hardcore. Not a new thing, but you can exist without it. If you're a booking agent and you work with hardcore bands, let them do the one-offs. To the audience at large, try this for us. If there's a record you like, don't listen to it once. Listen to it twice. Listen to it 5 times. Listen to it 20 times. And listen deep on it. And you don't have to be music aficionado to do it, but this is a neat thing to do. When you're listening to it, think about what it is that you like about it in a deep way. And that's kind of the appreciation level. I've had conversations with people who are younger who they'll hear something and go, oh, I like that. And then listen to it, listen to every song the band wrote, and then it's gone. And I think that music's more than that. I think it's art. I think it should be less disposable. So if you do one thing this year, pick a record you like, whether it's brand new, whether it's old, whether you just haven't listened to it for 10 years, or whether you discovered it just now, and listen to it 10 times. To the point where you can tell your friend, hey, I like this record a lot. You know what? It makes me think X. It makes me feel happy. I really like the way the guitar sound is on this, whatever that is, because it's like an enriching thing, and it'll give you appreciation. So
that makes
there
sense.
we go. All right. Anything else, guys?
No, just anything we wanted to listen to this week. I'm going to say I went deep on the Whipping Boy discography. Has anybody given Whipping Boy a shot?
I don't even know who that is.
So it's a 1983 band, I want to say.
All right, you can miss me with that.
From fucking, I don't know, maybe Northern California, wherever. It's Eugene Robinson from Oxbow.
Yep.
It is his act from, because I knew he was down with, he's down with Rollins, but that makes sense. They're both kind of like intellectual meatheads, but he's down with
Warrior Poets.
Yeah, he's down with Mackay, and I was like, how is he down with all these old motherfuckers? And then I was like, oh, he was in Whipping Boy, which is this band that went from, which I'd known about for years, but never gave a shot. It's a band that went from like hardcore of its era to kind of like this swing period of like Deep Confusion to like Nick Cave. You know what I mean? And
Okay.
and I'm not saying that any one of those stops was 100% successful, but it was fascinating to see, for me to see a band that in 3 albums over the course of 3.5 years, you know what I mean, went through these wild changes before he went on to be one of the biggest fucking weirdos that I've ever shared a stage with. And like, I thought, I just was so impressed. I thought it was the coolest thing to watch this man who is a true OG, like, to revisit his material, which is, you know, largely forgettable, but like Whipping Boy has a couple songs, like, it's like anti-government shit from like a black perspective. It's interesting in its own way. And just to see where he is now, fascinating to me.
Interesting.
What else we got?
Since we're doing older stuff, I've been revisiting a record I really like. I'm not huge on live records, but even though I recommended one earlier today, there's 3 live hardcore records I really like. Bad Brains Youth Are Getting Restless, Agnostic Front live at CBGB's, and this is a weird one, Black Flag, Who's Got the 10.5. I recommend Black Flag, Who's Got the 10.5 to people who are interested in Black Flag and are like, oh, I kind of want to check out some of the weird Rollins era stuff, because after you get through My War, Slip It In has some funky production value. Loose Nut, the production value is really weird and intentionally so. And then the In My Head material, the guitars, he might as well be playing some sort of a tin can. But Who's Got the 10.5 is heavy, weird punk from 1986, I believe the recording is. And it's a great introduction to that kind of stuff. And I don't think it's on a lot of younger people's radar. So
definitely not.
Black Flag,
there's Black
Who's Got the
Flag.
10.5?
Black Flag for being the thing that it is. There is material of theirs that fans have never listened to, and it's not like they've got prodigious output, but like there's just shit that people are just like not fucking with.
Yes.
They're a tattoo band.
They're a tattoo band, but
100%.
I'm a big Loose Nuts. One of my favorite punk records, but Who's Got the 10.5 has better versions of the songs off that than the actual studio.
There's like a bootleg, I think, of the
full
demo versions of those Loose Nut songs too. That with some of the My War songs, that's I think better than the recorded version too.
Guys, new, old. You want to throw something out there?
What I'm listening to,
Jawbreaker Live.
Jawbreaker Live a lot. Yeah. Due to my buddy Brian, I've been listening to a lot of Jason Isbell. It's like country stuff. It's that's really about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Morgado, what you got?
I got like most of the fucking records I just pre-ordered this week, so I'm listening so the new Trail of Lies, which is awesome. The new Harm's Way. I mean, I'm sure you guys have talked about this stuff already, but
the 1%.
Meathead Jim music, both of them, and it's
Wait, to say what you said about Harm's Way.
Shit, that was like 8 hours ago. What did I say about
Heavy
Harm's Way?
music for lifting heavy things.
Yeah, they're heavy music for lifting heavy things. I know you guys have talked about them on the show before and how they're missing elements for you or whatever, but I think that's a thing for them where they really could find a home with Jim Meatheads, and I don't just say that because of the way the singer looks, but because like that record is that kind of heavy where it's like I don't see moshing to it. I see like you getting like the crazy I'm far away look. I'm gonna pick up something.
Here's
really
my new PR.
Yeah. Like that could.
What's the wad?
I'm not trying to say it's new metal because it's not at all. But that shit, I can put that. That would slip right into my Meathead Jim playlist between like Disturbed and Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, and it would fit in
Disturbed
fine.
on your.
I listened to that Disturbed record at the gym so much.
He just gained 15 new metal Twizzy fans on Twitter.
Wow.
Kill me, yeah! Don't at me. That's the only place.
See, that's your friend Morgado.
That's
people,
the only
by the way.
That's the only place I find that music appropriate for me. Is the gym. It works for me in the gym. It doesn't work for me anywhere else. But I think a lot of.
Do you do the waka?
Oh, I and I throw the weight over my head like a gorilla.
Yeah.
But no, like
Harm's
Way. Not that they're new metal, but they're that type of thing where it's like
They're
it's
Jace.
heavy. It's heavy, and it gets me psyched up to do like feats of strength, which I'm an old man
And you want to look like the singer ultimately. So that makes sense.
If I had looked at like that dude when I was in better shape, that would have been amazing.
This has been Axe to Grind. Let's give the ats. What do we got? We got
At Axe to Grindcast on Twitter. We have Axe to Grind podcast at gmail.com.
We're going to start a Facebook group
we are
so we can
starting
share
a
things easier.
Facebook group, so we can all converse and do weird fucking shit. But most importantly, the reason we're starting this Facebook group is that our next recording, Pat, what are we doing?
We are doing a. This is by far the nerdiest thing I've ever. Not just that this podcast has made me do.
This is like the dorkiest thing.
No,
ever.
so me and Pat have done dorky things. We did a Beverly Hills 90210 season 1 complete live blogging, watching the entire 21 episode season straight through.
Yeah.
No stops. We watched the whole thing.
So we love.
And this is nerdier.
Well,
You wear
this is
diapers?
this is nerdier. This is like if we were. So you know like dudes that play Warhammer and shit, right? Like
Yes.
tabletop wargaming. And then there
I don't know what that is.
Then there's the dudes who paint the figures.
But then there's the dudes who do the period specific wargaming that is like this is the South Pacific Theater ground battle, you know what I mean? And that's nerdy. What we are doing eclipses all of that. We are doing a hardcore festival fantasy draft. And what that means is that we have given ourselves a like arbitrary number.
A list of about 450 bands.
It's
that
like a
were
9-page spreadsheet in
that's
Excel.
compiled over festivals since only 2015. Of most of the major U.S. festivals, with very few exemptions from this list, and we've assigned them a point value and given ourselves a budget, and we will be having the draft at our next recording.
And Bob put all of this together for you. So
Yeah. So all and what we'll do is we'll put the info out so you can follow along.
And you maybe want to make your own. We'll give you the rules.
maybe we do like a contest.
It's going to become. Oh yeah, we should give something away.
We have nothing to give away.
In love,
figure something
love and
out.
kisses.
Jar of peanut butter.
So
Yeah,
it's
7 of those.
it's going to be controversial because somebody's going to beef with some of the values that we put on the bands.
It's
but
arbitrary. It's not based in reality. We just threw some values out there, literally, that spent an hour just going through and with some cross-checking, but like pretty like, oh, have I heard of this? Oh, is this popular? Is this not? And we went from
this will be a nice test for our listeners. We are going to find out how far down the rabbit hole you'll go with us because
this might be rock bottom.
This is appalling.
There's according to some of our listeners, there's no bottom.
This I don't know.
This is rough.
And if you made it this far in the podcast,
We all float
God
down here.
bless.
I don't know.
So
yeah, we've been talking for 3 hours at 1 a.m. So if
If
We're
we all
looping,
sound
we're
drunk and somewhat like Tom Waits, that's why.
yeah, I'm getting
The piano has been drinking.
more Tom voice. So it also is going to be a cool exercise to see virtually how booking a festival might not be easy. As easy as someone would like to be like, oh, book this, and then you put in, oh, you only have this much to use. Oh.
Yo, straight up, maintaining a vibe. I'm trying to make a cool festival. Maintaining a vibe is really fucking
so
hard.
let me just say this: only one other person who's not in the room has seen the list and gotten a chance to do it, and that is my good friend Riley, who does Sound and Fury Festival. He killed he did it.
He killed the vibe.
With vibe, with style. It was good, and at first because he deals in reality, was blanching at some of the points, and this isn't. And I'm like, dude, no, I know, I've been there too. This was done for the sake of the game, and then he got it. He's like, oh, okay, I'm in, and took a half hour, did it, and he booked it with vibe, with the flow. His list is good.
But
good
that's
to
a
share
dude
with
that
you guys.
does like a Rubik's. Yeah, like he's
That's
already
what we
done the
do.
Rubik's
Yep,
cube.
I know.
So like
I know. I'm excited to dominate. So let's go.
I started it. It was the worst
You'll
experience
get
of my
there.
life.
The extra time is going to help you.
I'm finding the lower tier acts to be the most difficult part. Like, it's tough to try to fill, because for me personally, I don't like the first 10 bands on a bill. So like, I want to cut them. That's my instinct. It's like to be like, this would be stronger without them.
Right.
But like, anyway, it's a whole thing. All right, we'll get you that information. You'll fucking get into it, and we'll all do it together.
And it was nice to know you guys after we do this. And you know,
we'll understand if you
folks
jump
don't
ship.
decide
It's
to,
fucking intense.
The next one will be fun. We'll talk shit about a bunch of people, like whatever whatever everyone likes.
But this will also give us a chance to talk a lot about the bands.
That's true.
Overpower, overcome.